All right, it's that time for an episode of ZTGD Radio. This is the game of the year. Y'all been waiting. It's January 20th. Is this the latest we done this?
Wait, we're doing game of the year?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Man,
and
I
you're
did
going
not realize
first.
that either.
So you best be ready.
Right.
No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, on our game of the year show this year, we got Anthony.
I'm here, but I got a mouthful of chips.
Oh, well, I didn't know. You didn't tell me.
Great planning.
Thank you.
Awesome. Clip it.
Jay is here from the auditorium at Carnegie Hall.
Buongiorno, everyone. Thank you for attending my TED Talk this evening.
We
Empty,
got,
like every TED Talk should be.
we got Terrence.
What up?
And we got the Wombat too.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to talk about a lot of great video games from the year of our Lord 2024. So if you're not familiar with how we do this, every year we all come up with a list of our top 10 games. We run through those. Some of us have disappointments. Some of us have honorable mentions. And that's just kind of how it works. We celebrate the games of 2024. You know, that year everybody said sucked. So let's...
And we do it this way because there's not a chance in hell any of us could ever agree on a 10-game list.
we've had a lot of formats over the years. Remember we did the top 50 games of the year or something? Or
Oh yeah, we tried to do some real goofy stuff with it early on.
Yeah, we voted
when we were young and naive.
How long was that top 50 game of the year podcast?
Man.
I don't remember. I don't remember how all that formatting worked.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. That was when Jason was still on the show as a regular.
Like, I don't know if you know this, but this show's been ongoing for a long time.
It'll be 19 years this year. 19.
Almost legal. Oh, wow.
I was gonna say it can drink here in the next 2 years.
You can drink in Canada right now.
Oh, yeah, true.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
We'll see if it ever gets to rent a car. That's always the big one.
A reminder that our first show we did and discussed our anticipation or lack thereof for the Wii.
Yeah.
A reminder that the Nintendo GameCube was still the most current Nintendo console when this show started.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I can't. Like, the people calling the Wii retro now, and I'm like, I guess?
Yeah. Xbox 360 was the next-gen machine when we started. That was the new hot business that everybody was playing.
Dude, it hadn't even been out a year.
It had not been out a year when we started. It had been out like 9 months.
Jesus Christ. I can't. This show will be 20 years old next year.
Nope. Yes. Yeah.
20
yeah. I forget that it's 25 now. Yeah, it'll be 20 years old next year.
2026, it'll be 20 years old.
Jesus Christ. I don't like what that says about me or the show.
Anyway, let's get into talking about some games from 2024. I wonder if there'll be any crossover. Oh, does anybody want to volunteer to go first? Otherwise, I'll just pick somebody.
Yeah,
I
sure.
was going to let Jay go first since he hasn't been here in a while. Like, I mean, they hear from all the rest of us all the time. Like, let him go first.
All right, or undermine me. That's fine.
Look, man, I wasn't trying to cut any snack time, bro.
Said,
like, my
sure.
bad.
And you're like, actually, Jay should go first. Now what? Now what do I do?
You can put another handful of chips in your mouth. That's what you can do. Like,
I mean, it sounds like a win-win.
Anthony, if you really want to go first, I'm totally down. I don't mind.
I just figured I'd be the most boring of the bunch because I've been pretty upfront with what game is going to be my game of the year. And then basically you're just waiting to see what else is on the list, which I think is pretty obvious. I didn't play a lot this year, I'll be honest. And the stuff I did play mostly ended up on disappointment lists outside of the top 10. Like, it was bad.
I wish I had made a disappointment list. I'm
sorry, I 100% made a disappointment list. It's not very big.
I do have I do have one award. I think we should start doing it. Called Yorick. We hardly knew thee. Which is for live service games that are shut down. Clearly, Concord wins that one because it was around for a week.
Concord wins everything
Listen.
except for life.
100%. When I was writing my list, I had that down, and I was like, "How could I work Concord in here as a joke for something?" Like, I love it. Thank you, Anthony.
There's always one every year. Marvel Snap trying to come up with the clutch at the end, but it's as of today, it's no longer playable.
Yeah,
It'll be back.
It'll be
it
back.
better.
It better.
So my disappointments.
Okay, let them take Overwatch. Let them take Overwatch.
You know what?
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that, Terrence. You know this.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And you know this.
Motherfucker, if they
You know how
play it,
you know how niggas. You know how niggas sit in movie theaters and be like, "Run, bitch!" Now, if I was in that position, I sure wouldn't do this. But then they be in that position, and then it's totally different. That'd be you if they took that Overwatch. Like, you talking good game right now.
From 8 years of experience, that if you could take it away, I'd be happy.
I think the 8 years speaks otherwise. So it's because it's in your face. You can't say no. That's what it is.
No, I'm chained. I'm shackled.
Oh my God! How did
God damn?
2024 turn into an Overwatch discussion?
Right? You know whose fault? No, Terrence, you don't get to go right. You're the one that brought it up.
Yeah, it's your fault.
Okay.
It's just son of a bitch. It's like, right? How dare you?
Yeah. Okay. Wait. Hold on. Okay. So what now?
We're
gonna move on. You gonna talk about your games? Like, what are we doing? So you just gonna still talk?
Someone had to make it.
Oh, you still gonna throw it at me? Okay. All right. That's cool. That's cool.
No, it is your fault.
I admit that. Again, I've admitted that. Okay. Yeah, it was my fault. 100%. 100%. My fault.
Anthony, I gotta say, you saying it's Terrence's fault is a little bit like showing up with a whole bunch of gasoline and firewood and then blaming someone else for throwing a match, because you're the one who brought up Concord and failing live service games.
Oh, hold on now. I was a joke.
Oh, now he's backtracking. Oh, hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on now.
What are we doing?
No, he's just stirring shit. Fuck you, Ryan. All right, disappointments on this fucking podcast.
I mean, that's been a disappointment for 20 years. You know how that rolls.
That's right. 19 years running, baby.
All right, so disappointments this year. Turnip Boy robs a bank. The first Turnip Boy game commits tax evasion is so much fun, and the second game is twin stick sort of roguelike shooter.
Welcome to video games.
Yeah, welcome to video games. The next one is another Code Recollection. I really liked Trace Memory, which was another Code on DS in Europe, and I knew that there was going to be some changes, but like, turned basically an adventure game into a, I don't want to say walking sim, but it's a story you play out. Like, it removes all the puzzles for the most part. Like, there was far less puzzle work and puzzle solving in it, and I get it, it's a different team, but like, Singh, who's now been defunct for almost a decade, I guess, or more, did a really good job with that series and Hotel Dusk and the like. And I don't know, it felt bad to revisit something that they made and it not be as good. And it was made by Arc System Works, and that's a totally different. Speaking of another Nintendo disappointment, Princess Peach Showtime.
Ooh, that game was not great.
It's a game. I am sure younger kids might have fun with it. I did not. And
I think younger kids have better games on the Switch to play. Like,
yeah, but they also play Roblox. So what really?
Roblox got more gameplay diversity than Princess Peach did.
Roblox also looks like shit.
I don't think kids care what games look like. I mean, they play Roblox.
I don't think kids have a lot of taste in general. That's my point.
You're not wrong.
But I don't know. Like, I'm saying younger kids. I'm not even saying Roblox age, to be honest. I think like under the age of 5, which maybe they're playing Roblox too. I guess.
Probably.
I don't know. This one's gonna probably piss off some people. I did not like Animal Well.
I didn't either.
I just did not. Something about it just never clicked with me. I'm sure everybody's got a game that was popular this year that they just didn't click with. I know Balatro is going to be some people's stuff. This next one I only played the demo for. I was really excited for it when it was announced, and then as soon as I played the demo, I went, "Oh no, I'm good." Mullet Mad Jack, which is like a very frenetic shooter. It's got a great art style. I did not like the gameplay at all. It's disappointing because like everything about that game says Anthony will love this, and then the gameplay says Anthony's gonna fucking hate this, and it's true. I do. Platform 8 is not as good as Exit 8. I played Exit 8 this year, and then I tried to play Platform 8, and I don't know. Exit 8 is such a great way to simulate paranoia. Its scares don't even really come in the form of like ghosts jumping at you. There's some of that, but not a lot. Platform 8 like leans more into the horror aspect, and I don't think it does it. Like I don't think it's as good of a game. It's not as great of a concept. Yeah. And then EDF 6, Earth Defense Force 6. They literally just reused EDF 5. You go back in time and play EDF 5. I've never seen such an out for being lazy. Good
no,
Lord.
you have.
Now I have. Alright, so the top 10 games. Number 10, Penny's Big Breakaway. I didn't play enough of this game to have it any higher, but I did love what I played. It's, part of the team that made Sonic Mania, so I'm not surprised. It's a lot of fun. It's a sort of higher speed platformer. It's a lot of fun. I wish I didn't have it on Switch, because now I don't play my Switch as much, but
it's a fun momentum platformer with
it's
some
a fun
good music.
game, yeah. The music kicks ass.
Yeah.
So number 9 is Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble. It's Super Monkey Ball.
That's the Switch only game, right?
Yeah, that was the one that they promoted really poorly, where there's a big multiplayer aspect to it. There's a full single player campaign in there.
Is it 60 on the Switch? Like, that's the biggest thing about Monkey Ball is at one point they released one that was 30 frames a second. It didn't work.
I honestly couldn't tell you off of memory.
Okay, yeah, because that's my biggest concern about Monkey Ball is they put out one at 30 FPS once, and I was like, I can't play this. Like, Monkey Ball is too precise for 30 FPS.
Yeah, I'd have to double check that for you, Ken. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I haven't played that. I wanted to though.
It's good. I have II dressed as Goro Majima. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Nice.
8 is Cryptmaster. I think Jay recommended that to us.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. My issue was I stopped playing it because I ran out of magic. Because not realizing the way the combat system works, I think I'm going to start that game again and do it turn-based combat. So, very interesting, unique.
Did you
way
do
of
all
playing.
you get magic back quite frequently using like fishing and bugs and stuff like that? Were you seeking those out while you're running out?
Yeah, I was running low on those too. So,
Okay.
So number 7, Super Mario Party Jamboree. I feel like I'm saying the same thing about this that I did about Monkey Ball. It's Mario Party. It's really good. It's got a single player mode in it that's pretty robust in comparison. I liked some of the new additions for multiplayer, like the 8-person co-op mini games, which was kind of crazy. Really impressed with how well that game does everything, but at the same time, it's Mario Party. Like, you know exactly what you're getting into.
Yeah, bullshit.
A bit of that, yeah.
Yeah, that's Mario Party staple.
So 6, I wish I could put the game higher, but it just didn't feel as good as the first one. Case of the Golden Idol. I really liked God,
Curse?
Rise of the Golden Idol?
Was
The
it
first game.
Curse of the Golden Idol, wasn't
Curse
it?
of the... I fucking don't remember. But the first Golden Idol game, I felt was better made. They made additions to in case of the Golden Idol. Oh, you know what? I think I have it wrong. Case of the Golden Idol is the first one. It's Rise of the Golden Idol is the second. That's my fault.
Okay.
Mhm.
So Rise of the Golden Idol is my number 6. It's not as good as Case, and it's more about the actual puzzles that they've made than because they've done UI adjustments that I think were for the better, but ultimately, like, having, well, you didn't use the right word, except those words can be used interchangeably, sort of pisses me off. Like, oh, it didn't break, it hit, but, like, it hit and then broke, so which one is it? And you're saying, well, I'm wrong, but, like, you should have that where it's like, no, you're right, both of these words work, because they do. They're both true statements. And that kind of just turned me off the game. Like, I'm like, well, if you're going to be that pedantic, like, there's no reason why what I wrote didn't work. So I sat there trying to figure out what was wrong.
Shallow and pedantic. You all were thinking it. You know it.
Anyways, I do think the Golden Idol games are worth playing. I just wish this one was a bit better in that aspect of it. I don't think the puzzle solving is as... I don't feel the aha moments as much as I did in the original. There are a few, and honestly, the few that I've had were way better than the first game, but because they're so few and far between, I don't know. Number 5... Actually, sorry, number 5 is Sonic X Shadow Generations. This could go higher. I originally had it at my number 4 spot, but I switched my number 4 and my number 5. Problem is that, like, most of the game I've played before. It's like the Sonic Generations part, yeah, it's good. It's a game I played a decade ago and loved it then. But I really like the Shadow stuff. I mean, it is clearly based off of what they did with Sonic Frontiers. I think it's a move for the better. I like how Shadow controls. I like the story that's going on. It's a lot of fun. It's, you know, I feel like we're in a Sonic Renaissance. Watch Sega prove me wrong.
I mean, it only takes one game. They're going to
It only takes one game with Sonic.
Rise of Lyric 2.
Oh, fuck. Well, no, Sonic Boom it would be Sonic Prime now. They do something with Sonic Prime and fuck that one up.
Chili dogs.
That's no good.
That's no good.
So number 4 is Bakaru.
Oh,
I really like
yeah.
Bakaru.
The game was pretty good.
I finished it, 100%ed it. I think the biggest problem, though, is that, like, what is it clearly based on? Mystical Ninja. What does it
100%.
not have the character of, though? Mystical Ninja. That game becomes too easy if you use the powers they give you. So I did not use them because I wanted some challenge. But, like, towards the end, I was just like, let's just power through it. And I just kept using the other forms that you get that, you know, that you temporarily have. And it's just... Yeah, it's a great game, and then there'd be like, yeah, and here's the world map, you can go anywhere. Except that, like, I don't want to go anywhere, I just want to go to the levels. There's nothing to find that's a secret here. And because you have to actually fly around to every level, it's like a ton of time wasted if you're looking for that one level that you forgot you didn't complete, or you're looking for a Tanuki in one of the levels. It's not perfect, but for a game that Goodfeel clearly worked on by themselves, because they're originally they self-published it in Japan. It's quite impressive because it's the same team that did Princess Peach Showtime. So one game really high up, the other game really low down.
So just so I can understand, Anthony, you purposely withheld using systems that the game gave you so that you could make the game more difficult because you didn't feel like it was difficult enough. Welcome to Souls fandom.
Yeah, no, like, sure, you're right. It is not even.
You
The
cheated.
problem is
You
that
didn't
like when
progress.
you
You
go
didn't
into the
learn.
temporary forms, in Bakaru, you're more like it doesn't just change your range of attack and how you attack, but it also increases your attack power. Most enemies don't take a lot of hits, so it makes it like you're hitting enemies before they spot you with some of these powers. So it's just like, well, okay, and your gauge is always filling up, so it's like you could basically just stay in those forms. So I was just like, well, I could do that, but then I'll fly through these levels so quick that I won't I won't explore as much. I guess I don't know. I just felt like it was like, well, this is like way too easy now. Like it's unlike Souls where I feel like there's like a set difficulty, right, and then it gets harder from there. Like with the way that they were suggesting I play the game with all these powers, it became like way too easy. Like not like kids can solve these Princess Peach Showtime levels of easy at points. Yeah. 3. I mean, this is where the non-surprises come in. 3 is Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom.
Mm,
Yeah,
yes.
it's a puzzle-based Zelda game. Count me in. Like, I don't know what else to say. I've pretty much talked about that to death already. Hey, can you guess my number 2? Someone, come on, don't leave me hanging.
Helldivers 2.
No, he
Oh,
didn't
fuck.
play Helldivers 2.
I know that's a joke.
No, because I don't know which
I know
one of
what
a
your
couple
number
games
one
would
is, but
be.
I don't know what your number 2 is.
What's my number 1, Ken?
Balatro.
That's what I
No,
think your
number
one
2 is Balatro.
Oh, wow, okay.
I don't know what number 1 is.
Okay, I thought okay, all right. I thought I was pretty clear where I stood on
You
my number
probably
1.
were,
But
and
yeah,
I've just forgotten at this point because I'm old.
Balatro is great. Balatro, you will hear from other people how great it is. It's achieved Game of the Year in many other places. The only thing that held it back from number 1 is when you start getting shitty fucking RNG. That game just beats you down, and you don't want to play it anymore.
It does get
Like, cool, I can't get anything fucking started. I'm really glad with this outcome.
yeah, there does get to be a little bit of there's definitely, just like any card game, there's some luck involved for sure.
What the
Yeah,
hell?
and that's not
I
me
was asking the
criticizing
same
Balatro
question, like, what the
specifically.
fuck was that? Like, oh,
Oh,
but
that's
there's
what I
this
figured.
motherfucker here that don't ever come on the
Yeah.
show no more.
I think-
Motherfucker, you got till my daughter wakes up from her nap.
Jesus Christ, so
Damn.
loud.
Back up. Like, got
Very
right.
white here.
Yeah, he came
Gotta
in
whisper
here.
into
I have
the
to be
mic from...
quiet.
Okay.
Welcome to our ASMR podcast.
So,
That's
so
right.
Anthony, back to Balatro. Back to
Yeah.
Balatro.
I spoke the word Balatro, and Drew showed up after I was like,
He's a joker.
He's like, I got credit. No, he said he had credit on the Google Play Store, and so I said you should get Balatro, and he did, and then I got him hooked on it.
Yes.
Pusher.
My number 1 is Sandland.
Oh, that's right.
yeah.
Now I remember.
That's
Okay.
not. I completely forgot that game existed, Anthony. That's
A
that's
lot
why I
of people
didn't.
will. I'm gonna write something big about this because not only is it the last game that Akira Toriyama would have been involved in on any level for his passing, I think it's one of the best examples of Akira Toriyama's like creative spirit. It shows off. It kind of covers like what he did with Dragon Ball. It's a lot of his machine work, a lot of his monster design, and then you get to explore this world that he created, and it feels like it feels like a PS2 game, which is a weird thing to say because it doesn't sound like a compliment when we're PS4, PS5 era. But like there was a point in the PS2 library where maybe everything unfortunately had like an RPG title attached to it. It's an action RPG, and it's because it's got some base leveling systems. But that is what Sandland is. It is you build your own tank, like you can customize your tank, you can explore all these caves. There's a bunch of stuff to do, of course, side missions, main mission, and then like stuff to find out in the world. But it just brings back that wonder of video games for me. And, on thinking about it, Akira Toriyama, probably one of my favorite art direction, like, that games can take. Like, I love Dragon Quest. That's all him. Obviously, the Dragon Ball Z games look fantastic, especially nowadays. But, I mean, they look good on the PS2. Sandland, like, it's just, I like being in the worlds he created, or had a hand in creating with Dragon Quest. And so, yeah, I loved it a lot, and like it made me happy to play through it. It was a good gaming experience, and I think a lot of times, even when I think of games I enjoyed, like I don't necessarily get that feeling like, oh, this is why I love video games. And I'll say this, like last year my game of the year was Pikmin 4. I think before that it was Tinykin, which again, both of them are about being small. But those gave me the same feeling. Mario Odyssey gives me that feeling. And Sandland is somewhere in there. Is it as good as Nintendo made properties? No, I mean Nintendo has way too much polish on their games to stand up to Namco to stand up to. But it's a lot of fun. Like it feels like old school video gaming, back before everything became about telling this epic story, and that everything needed to be serious, and that the gameplay went to the side, I guess is the way I can say it. Like, I feel like you get your good story in this, but for the most part, it's about being in a tank, shooting enemies, and getting into tank battles, which is also a very unique premise that you don't see too often. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I loved that game so much, and I'm glad that it was on PS4 so I could play it at the time. Now I have a PC. It works on Steam Deck, sort of, too, so I could have played it there. So, but I'm glad it came out on PS4, and it looked amazing there. That's how good the art direction is. So, yeah, that's my game of the year. I kind of realized early on that it was going to be, and it was going to be hard to top. And as much as Balatro has taken time from me on multiple devices, it is that point where it's like, at the same time, like, Balatro is fun in a very different way. But the stuff that I grew up on and that I truly, truly loved, like Dark Cloud 2 comes to mind, that's Sandland. That Sandland stands next to those games that I have nostalgia for. So,
I gotta say,
that's my number one.
I'm gonna have to add that to my list, because that's one of the games. I played the demo and I really enjoyed the demo. But I never went back and actually picked up the full game. So
I'll tell you now,
at some
like,
point I need to pick it up.
it does have a bit of that open world stuff where it's like, okay, all right, like I wish I could just kind of be at the next point
Oh yeah,
already.
you should know by now that's not a problem for me.
I knew that wasn't a problem for you. But you doing, like, just getting into tank battles with stuff is fun. Like running into raiders in the desert and then zooming in from far away to blow up a tank and then realizing that you're there and suddenly following you is a lot of fun. Like it's not a thing that I see other video games do, because how many open world tank games are there?
Very, 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 very few.
Very few. You know what? It feels a bit like Mad Max in that way as well, because it's a lot of vehicle customization in a big desert world. But I do like the story in this more than the very depressing Mad Max. So
I gotta say, you hurt my soul when you said that we're in the PS4/PS5 era, and I realized that the PS4 came out 12 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
well, my point though is that less of the consoles, but more of where gaming decided to go. And I think PlayStation is sort of at the forefront of what games are or were trying to be for a significant amount of time. Like, I think Uncharted and Last of Us being key titles, and the way God of War went and everything like that. Not to say that these are bad, but like Horizon Zero Dawn, they're a very different feeling than what the PS2 era was going for, right?
Well, yeah, it changed in the PS3 with the dark gray, gritty, over-the-shoulder
Well,
adventure games.
we luckily moved past that in the PS4, PS5.
I mean,
I
that's
think
still
we're past
the
that, but
PlayStation
but you're
mold.
right. It changed, but that changed the outcome of further generations. So, yeah, no, it feels very much of that era, like experimental in some ways that couldn't do well monetarily, which Sandline might not have. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it did.
But I mean, it's the complete story of Sandland. Like, there was no need for a sequel.
All right. I guess we should let Drew go because he only has like 2
Yeah.
games and he has to go anyway.
Yeah. So this year, I played the game of try to make sure a baby doesn't die while it's in my care. Which is a very difficult game. It is the
That's a
Dark Souls
difficult-
of life.
It is, yes, correct.
But-
Just wait till she starts walking around.
Oh, she's already crawling, and it's already a nightmare.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And that's all she wants to do. No, I do not want to sit down. I want to move.
So you're saying Who's Your Daddy is your game of the year? Gotcha.
Yes, that's exactly it.
You have to stop the other player from drinking bleach.
So, but in between there, I did play some games. I'm going to rattle off the games that I played the most of, some of which did not come out in 2024. I got really big into A Little to the Left,
That's a great game.
It's a 2022 game, but I 100% of that game. It's like, and they still have like daily puzzles that you can do that are just random that I absolutely adore. I still do the daily tidies every single day.
I've never heard of this game.
It's on Game Pass, yeah.
Yeah, it's on Game Pass. It may be leaving Game Pass soon though. I'm not sure. And it's basically just a puzzle game. It's kind of like almost like an abstract puzzle game.
It's an OCD puzzle game.
Yeah, and they don't tell you anything. Like they just, here's this thing, and like move stuff the where you think you should put it, kind of thing. So they'll give you like 5 pencils, and you've got to put them in a certain order. You can do it in the order of like how long they are, how long the eraser is. There may be like a little symbol on them, kind of thing. So there's multiple ways to solve a puzzle, but then you can also go back and try a different way. Yeah, I fell in love with that game. I thought that was fantastic. I need to play the DLCs for them, but the problem is I don't actually own the game, and I'm afraid to buy DLC for a game I don't own. But I love that game. I'm 100% it. Got every achievement in it. Another game that I got really into is Wild Frost, which is kind of like it's like a deck building game. It's basically Slay the Spire. And it's easy because you can do a quick run. It takes you maybe 15 minutes, kind of thing. I'm still playing it a good amount. It's on Game Pass as well. A lot of really cool mechanics there. And those are some games I put a lot of time into, and obviously they did not come out this year. So as far as my top games, really there's only 3 that I can talk about. And one of them is DLC, but it is major DLC, and that is Vessel of Hatred for Diablo 4. Put a good amount of time into that. I enjoyed that a good amount. Crazy thing is when it came out first, I didn't even start with a new class, the Spiritborn. I started with the Necromancer. But afterwards, I did start a Spiritborn, and we'll talk about broken. They're obviously changing that for the next season, but obviously whenever you release a new DLC that's paid, you want the new content to be broken because that makes everybody go and buy it. And they've made some adjustments to Diablo, because I'll be honest with you, Diablo 4 season 0, 1, 2 was really good, 3 was kind of bad, 4 was decent. It was hit or miss. And there were times where I was just like, I don't even feel like playing a season. But over time, that we're coming into season 7 now, they've got that game pretty well stocked at this point. There's a lot to do, and all of them, all the events and things that you can do are pretty rewarding. Obviously, there's still a meta There's going to be the classes. There's going to be the builds that are just going to wreck everything. But they do give you some more options now. But I'm still enjoying Diablo 4. I haven't played a lot since I finished the season 6 stuff, so I'm gonna probably jump back in season 7 when it starts up. The other game is that I've played that came out this past year was Dragon Age Veilguard. I've heard your thoughts on this game, and I feel kind of the same way. Every time you guys talk about it, it feels like you guys hate it, and I know you don't.
I don't know. It's on my list. I actually enjoy it, but it's just
Same.
it's hard to ignore the problems it has.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I feel like I have a different experience than you two because neither of you played a warrior, and I feel like the combat feels so much better as a warrior than either of the other two classes. I mean, I could be wrong. I messed around with a mage, and I said, "Yeah, this ain't it, Chief."
That was me.
Everybody's bum rushing you. There's, like you said, everything in that game is annoying because of the fact that you are the aggro.
Yes.
Nobody gives a crap about your party members, even the warriors who taunt. That does nothing.
Yeah, the taunt lasts for like the taunt lasts until the next hit. I've discovered, it seems like. So even if you have your warrior taunt, if me as an archer immediately after the warrior taunts, if I shoot an arrow, I'm aggro again. Immediately.
And we're actually doing that for Phoenix Down. I know Matt's probably way ahead of me at this point, because we've done every Dragon Age game, and I'm enjoying the game a lot. The main quest line leaves something. There's something missing. There's no real urgency. You'll have those quests that are like urgent, like, okay, you got to choose. Are you going to go here or here? And you can't do both, kind of thing. And those are okay. But then in between those choices, it's just like, well, we're just hanging around. What do you want to do?
Just wait. That is a recurring theme.
Yeah. But the one thing I will say, and you guys have said it too, is that I feel like the companions are very well done. I think the only companion I don't really like is probably, honestly, I don't like, what was there, Bellaria?
Oh yeah.
I think I don't like the quirky mage trope. It's kind of meh to me. Although she has had a few quests that are like, gets serious when she starts talking about like her family members and stuff.
Yeah.
But everybody else is really well written. The Grey Warden character, I absolutely love the Grey Warden character. I think he's fantastic.
He's one of the better Grey Warden characters they've had since Origins. Yeah.
And while I have some issues with the combat, I think that the combat is pretty well done. And one thing I will give this game looks amazing.
Yeah, it looks great.
The vistas are insane. I don't necessarily like the character art design. It's strange. It just doesn't. It comes off weird. You got.
Yep.
It looks like you're watching a Saturday morning cartoon, but they're saying fuck, and I'm just like, what? Like, it's just weird. I don't know why they went that way.
Yeah.
Which obviously this game was in development hell for 10 years, so I mean it doesn't. Whatever. But I still am enjoying the game. I'm playing it, right now, for Phoenix Down, and I haven't finished it, obviously, but I am enjoying it. I just wish there was the potential to be a fantastic game, and it's just not there. It's still a good game, but I just think they really need to stick to a certain design choice. And, this was obviously originally a games as a service game and like a multiplayer co-op game. And you can kind of tell, like, even like the party select screen looks like a hero shooter select screen.
It does, yeah.
So
yeah, and I think it's we're not going to do the news obviously on this episode, but the game director has now left BioWare.
Probably for the best.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I am enjoying that game. It's just there was a lot more potential there that was kind of squandered. And then the game I've put probably the most time into is also one of the newest games that I've got is Balatro. You guys have taught this game to death, but I would say I've probably put 40 hours into this game, and I have maybe unlocked half of the stuff that you can do. I haven't even touched any of the challenges. I've just now beat the third difficulty with a deck, and there's 4 more difficulties.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to that game, I got it on my phone, and the reason why I got it on my phone was because Anthony was talking about it, but I got it on my phone because if we're sitting around and the baby's just kind of chilling, I can pop out my phone and just play a game or something like that. And, yeah, my wife's like, not that poker game again. Yeah.
The reason you got it on the phone is the exact reason I did not.
Yeah. No, I play that at work a lot too. I probably shouldn't, but I do. And I have told so many people about this game that don't play video games, and they have picked it up. It's like, poker, right? Yeah, that's all you need to know. You just need to know what poker is, and there you go.
Yep.
And that is, it is so well done. I have to play on the fastest, speed.
Yeah.
Because holy crap, once you figure out how this game works, you don't need it on the slow speed anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that is a cautionary tale right there. If you can get addicted to something, you will get addicted to that game. But if you do, you're in for a great time. I absolutely adore that game. That is probably it is my game of the year, and I've had it for literally like a month. Yeah, it's fantastic. And you can get it on anything, phone, Xbox, PC. However, I'd even flirted with the idea of getting it on Steam, but I haven't done that yet.
It works very well on Steam Deck.
I don't have a Steam Deck, so.
Well, no. For anyone who does, it works very well on Steam Deck.
Gotcha.
It controls well, basically with a controller or with mouse and keyboard, or mouse.
Yeah.
Really.
Am I the only one that's done both control schemes, like the touchscreen and the?
No, I've done the touchscreen too on the Steam Deck.
So so that's what I was gonna say. The touchscreen on the Steam Deck is different than how they handle stuff on iPad.
Oh, I haven't played it on iPad.
So you have to drag everything. So when you pick a card that you want to buy, you drag it to a purchase box rather than just press on it and then just hit buy, which is how you do it with the mouse, which is what it. So the way you do it on the Steam Deck on the touchscreen, I prefer because you just tap on the card and then you just hit buy next to it. It's very weird going to the iPad.
Both those are options though. On the phone, you can have it to where if you select the card, a little tag at the bottom will say buy or use.
Oh, I'm gonna have to set that up because that was the only thing that was throwing me off.
Yeah, or you can click and drag. I just click and drag most of the time. I'm just used to it that way. It's to a point now where my phone knows. I'll have my baby monitor on my phone, and I can do picture in picture. It's to a point now where my phone knows when I select Balatro, it automatically moves the baby monitor to the far right side so it doesn't mess up anything. So yeah, Balatro is definitely my game of the year. The only other game that I really played, I played 15 minutes of Indiana Jones. Solid opening, but I haven't made it any farther than that. I just haven't really had the time. Yeah, I own Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. That came out last year, but I have not even started it. That's all I got.
All right. Sorry, I was taking a nap.
Rude.
Rude.
Oh, all right. So Jay, do you wanna go?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. So I have this segmented. I'm not going to take too much time on the side stuff that's not top 10. So I'll just go through them. So these are games that you probably expect would be on my list if I finished or played them this year, but due to circumstances or something happening, I just never got around to them. So I'm just going to list them out. Unicorn Overlord, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. I started, but I never got to the end of it yet. Dragon's Dogma 2, Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. Those two games I'll buy probably during the next sale or something like that. 1000X Resist, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D Remake, Legend of the Zelda Echo of Wisdom. These are all games I'm going to probably pick up during 2025 or finish during 2025, hopefully. But they're all interesting games that would probably be like either on my honorable or on the list itself if I play them. But it is what it is. You have a finite amount of time. So going to my honorable mentions, just real quick. I don't have disappointments. I want to celebrate games instead of talking about bad ones
Oh, you're
during
no
Goaty
fun.
Show. Yeah, well, what am I gonna do? I'm behind. I'm over the anger at this point. There's too much good stuff for me to enjoy rather than thinking over the stuff that's bad. So, all right. So Path of Exile 2, honorable mention because it's early access. But I gotta say, I have not touched Diablo 4 after I started playing Path of Exile 2. That game does so many things that I've wanted Diablo to do for decades now. And it does a lot of things that Diablo 4 has already done well, even better than it does. And it's a little vague to say it that way, but you really have to play it. And the fact that the game is rapidly getting better with every patch and most likely going to be out of early access either late this year or early next year is going to be an event. Like, you should definitely look into it if you're interested in playing it when it becomes truly free to play.
So you don't think that game comes out of early access in 2025?
I think they are trying to. I think that's kind of the roadmap that they have. Yeah, but this game is ridiculously massive, Ken. Like,
no, I get it, but
have,
still, putting it out like almost 2 years before it's done is crazy.
Boss, do you know how long Baldur's Gate 3 was in early access?
Oh, absolutely. It was announced for Stadia. Fun.
I had that game 5 years before it came out.
Yeah,
to me, that's just insane. Like, this is my problem with early access is, like, you kind of kill your, I don't know. Like, here's something you can play 5 years before it comes out. And yes, Baldur's Gate's going to be an exception, and Path of Exile will probably be an exception. But there are, like, 99 other games that are not exceptions. They go into early access, and you never hear about them again.
Yeah, there's plenty of that. And I feel the exact same way you do, Ken. So it says a lot that I bought into the early access to a game because I had so much faith in the Grinding Gears developers, because what they've done and accomplished with Path of Exile is nothing short of like miraculous. The amount of support and the quality of that game is just stellar. And the way that they made it, and the Path of Exile 2, the foundation that they already built, despite it being early access and only having literally half of the single-player campaign done in terms of the story, it's so high that if it wasn't early access and just kind of came out as like part 1 of the official release, this would be most definitely on my top 10 already. So, this is only getting better at this point. So it's definitely going to be an exception to the rule more than another example of, for sure. The other honorable mention is going to be Silent Hill 2 Remake. Honorable mention, I think the game, I think we all had doubts, and for very good reasons, right? In regards to the developer, Bloober, they have made games which look fantastic, but either don't play well or have a story that is not quite there in terms of the best in the market kind of deal. But they really took Silent Hill 2 with a lot of respect, and they put in so much effort to the point where all the attention to detail that they put in, that's a reference to the previous games or the original game, is really present there. I think they do miss the mark a little bit in some cases with the gameplay, where you have like literal dodge frames. When as you're playing as James Sunderland, who's not supposed to be anyone but an everyman. He's not supposed to be able to do sick dodges and counterattacks and stuff like that. And that's one of the beautiful things about the original, is that every single aspect of that game served a purpose in regards to its narrative. The ways how janky James is to control, how stiff he is with everything, that all leads into the narrative and who he is as a person, along with the basic idea of suffering. You're supposed to be fighting these enemies as a way of punishment. This is kind of like something that's not supposed to be pleasant, which is kind of not transferred over well in the remake, I believe. But at the same time, I think they put the idea of creating a more fun game rather than a game that is more similar to the original, which I can respect. You have the opportunity, you have the shot that took it. They made a very fun game to play while retaining most of the story and atmosphere and stuff like that. And even managing that is exceptional. So props to Bluebird team for that. The other honorable mention is SMT5 Vengeance. They just added 60 hours of more content to that game. It's insane. I thought it was just going to be like a little side thing after you do, part of the way through the mid campaign. But no, you start the game, you just choose a different campaign. It's just 60 hours of additional content. And the original content was great, and now it's on basically everything. So very, very, very good game. Stellar Blade was actually top 10 on my list before, but a lot of things came out and kind of pushed it out, unfortunately. But I think for the first time developer for making this kind of game, the polish that they put in terms of the performance, the music, the visuals and everything is quite exceptional. And I'm really excited to see what they're going to do next with the games. Black Myth Wukong, another honorable mention. That's a game that I played pretty late. I was expecting it to look nice and play well, but I was not expecting the story to grab me as well as it did. By the end of it, the whole retelling of the journey to the West story in a very unique way, like a continuation of it, and the way the game ends. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a sequel to Journey of the West.
Exactly. I didn't know that when I first started, and the way that they handled, especially those animated cutscenes in between the acts, incredible, just absolutely stunning. If they make a movie with that kind of art style, I'm there, 100% of day one. And just really enjoyed it in terms of that. I think it still has some technical issues here and there, and the rushed nature of the last act kind of works against it in regards to the pacing of the game. But as like a total package, it's very, very impressive for a first time developer of this magnitude of game. And initially I thought the game sales were mostly because of the Chinese fans who were just very excited to kind of support their own, which, is honorable in its own right. But when I actually played it, it really quite deserved a lot of the positive buzz around it. So, happy to say. My last honorable mention is Stalker 2. The game atmosphere is bar none one of the best in the industry in terms of just the sheer feeling of isolation, and every turn that you go across, it feels like there could be something around there that could just bite your face off at any given moment. The story is pretty interesting for what it is, and I really enjoyed it, but that's a game that crashed like once every 2 hours, like clockwork. The amount of quick saves I made playing through that game is a testament to how unstable that game is. And I get it, they're quite literally making this game in a war zone, and the fact that it even came out is impressive enough. So I'm not going to harp on that too much, but if it wasn't for the technical issues that the game has, it definitely would have made top 10. So here we go. So top 10, I want to start with Balatro as my number 10. I really like the game. My Steam Deck became the Balatro machine for at least a month. When it first came out, I played this game at launch, unlike most of you guys who seems to have discovered it later down the line. But the game was just as good then as it is now in terms of the how much of a full package it is and how much stuff you can do in it. A very good game. It's a time destroyer, not a waster. completely erases time once you start really getting into a role, and just a tremendous package in regards to what they were able to do with a simple concept and just taking it to the nth level kind of deal while making it so accessible to people in general, even if they're not so big into games and stuff like that. Like Drew mentioned about being able to recommend it to his colleagues and stuff like that that don't normally play games. Number 9 is going to be Persona 3 Reload. Persona 3 is one of my favorite games of all time. One of the most influential games that I've played in my lifetime. And just to see it remade in a package that has no glaring flaws like the original does was wonderful. It retains the story. The presentation is as good as Atlas, generally does with it. But it is still, at the end of the day, just a remake. It's just basically a retelling of the same exact story. So I don't want to give it any more props than where it is. And the fact that it even made top 10, despite being a remake, it speaks for the quality of the game itself. Next, number 7 is going to be number 8 is going to be East 10 Nordics. Anyone ever play any of the East games here at all?
Yeah, I played
I've
them in the past. Yeah.
some of the older ones, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So, East is a series that's been around for a very long time. They have different types of gameplay and stuff like that. And East 10, specifically, they took to the sea. They did the Assassin's Creed,
Black
what was
Flag.
that? What was the one with the Black Flag kind of aspect to it, where your ship plays an integral part to the exploration and the general strength of your progress in the game, just kind of upgrading, finding new places. And it gave me such a terrible first impression because the ship combat and the way the ship controlled was so terrible at the beginning, because it felt like I was out in the middle of a sea on a plank of wood trying to fight fucking pirate ships. That's how bad it felt. I felt powerless. I was turning so slowly. But as I played through the game, as I got more upgrades to the ship, and as I unlocked more mechanics for the grounded combat, it ended up being really, really fun. To the point where I basically 100% explored all of the maps available, and the area maps are pretty huge too. So, and the storyline and the characters actually really surprised me as well. Where I think one of my favorite characters of the entire series is actually coming from this particular game, and the way that they handle the final boss, where you're not just fighting some god or some force that's going to destroy the entire world, but there is a very good reason why you need to kind of fight kind of deal, like a really good antagonist kind of deal, which you don't see as often as I like in JRPGs. So that was really fun. So if you are interested in diving back to an East game at some point, I recommend that one wholeheartedly. There's an enhanced version of that game coming out as well, which I'll take a look at when it comes out. And the next game is going to be Legend of Heroes Trail Through Daybreak. This is the first game of a brand new arc where it takes place in a different land where there aren't as many reoccurring characters as before. They changed the combat engine to something completely different than the other games that have been since to this point. So this is I forget exactly what the number Legend of Heroes game it is, but the fact that they created a game that allows people that are new to the series to kind of jump into it if they want, kind of in the middle instead of having to start all the way from the beginning back when the games were coming out on the PS Vita and PSP and stuff like that, and actually start enjoying the story and stuff like that is really good. The characters introduced, the main character Vaughn especially, is really good. He's kind of just a dude that's kind of tired of a lot of things and just kind of wants to have an easy life, but fate does not have that in store for him, which, much more relatable than teenagers going on an adventure to slay God, which is oftentimes the case. So, yeah, if you're ever interested in Legend of Heroes but want to take on or try out a new modern version of a game, then Trails Through Daybreak is an excellent place to start. Next game, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink.
By the way,
Did anyone else?
There's 21 Legend of Heroes games.
Yep. I didn't play anything before the PSP generation, so I didn't play it. Yeah. So the Trails in the Sky is where the actual story starts, and that's where
Gotcha.
most of the fans started off. But yeah, there's a lot of games. It's not an easy thing to ask someone to start that series because of it. So just having a modern game, you can say like, hey, you can start here, and you won't be completely lost because it starts out with a bunch of new characters.
Okay, and then reading up on it, apparently it's a spin-off of the Dragon Slayer series.
I believe they initially had the
The
Legend
sixth
of
game
Heroes
in the
mod.
Dragon Slayer series, and the first in the Legend of Heroes franchise.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
I never play any of the Dragon Slayer games, but I'm tempted to at some point or another if I have enough time. I'm curious about the history, how it came out. Yeah, did anyone else play Grand Blue Fantasy here by chance? It's like that.
I wanted to, but I just never got around to it.
Yeah, Drew.
I
think there's guys in here that like Monster Hunter. Ryan, you like Monster Hunter, right?
Oh, yeah, I love Monster Hunter. Yep.
Drew, I know you love Monster Hunter. This game is like anime fantasy Monster Hunter.
He doesn't have a PlayStation 5.
You could play that on something else too, right?
No.
I don't know what other platform it is. Is it not on Xbox?
No.
Oh, shame.
It might be on PC, but Drew's PC probably couldn't run it.
It is on PC.
Yeah.
Yeah, PC is where I reviewed it, but that's a shame.
It's not available anywhere else.
Okay, so this game came out really early in the year and really surprised me. I thought it was going to be just kind of by the numbers, Monster Hunter clone kind of deal where you have a single player campaign that's a throwaway, and then you go into the end game and you just collect and kill bosses for mats for better equipment and blah blah blah. But it ended up being way more than that. The story is incredibly high production value. Almost like near Final Fantasy levels of production value in terms of the cinematics and the combat and stuff like that in there. The combat is very fast-paced, very like it really rewards your timing for dodging, attacking, picking your spots and stuff like that against bosses and recognizing their patterns and stuff like that. And I put in like 200 hours into this game without
Which
really
one is this?
even thinking about it. A
Grand
Grand Blue
Blue
Fantasy
Fantasy
Relink. Yeah.
Okay, so it's on PS4.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah,
listed as playable on Steam Deck, by the way.
I haven't tried it on Steam Deck. I could try it off for you if you're interested in the game at some point, Ryan.
It does look pretty cool. I at some point it's probably not a $60 spend for me, but at some point if it goes on a big sale or something, I'd definitely take a look at it.
Actually, absolutely, highly recommend it. I think it'll be. I'm not sure how much anime you can stomach, but
it's. I struggle a little bit. I'd say,
but it's not bad. It's not bad. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like overly sexualized or anything like that. Everyone's has really cool designs and stuff like that.
I thought he was going to say everybody has their clothes on. I was like, the bar is low.
Well, but if you've seen and played the anime games, especially the stuff that Steam likes to shove on your faces when your recommendations.
That's a choice of words.
Yeah. Well, just check out the upcoming popular games on the Steam list.
No, thank
Steam
you.
games,
No,
and
thank
any
you.
weekly basis. Just fun for fun.
No.
Man. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? You might have to take a cold shower, maybe gouge out your eyeballs or something like that. But it's
pour
not
bleach into my face. Fucking weirdos.
Exactly. All right, next game, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah. So this is, I think, the game that everyone wanted Final Fantasy VII Remake to be. Just a really meaty adventure full of side activities and content, expanded content from what was originally there, for things that were small and insignificant to have like its own like side game and big cinematic and stuff like that. It's probably the most extra game that I played in all of my life in regards to like they really didn't have to go that far, but they did. And they do that over and over and over and over again until the credits roll, which is kind of impressive. I think they did much better with the combat, the presentation. Obviously, you don't have to say anything. It's just one of the best in the industry. And I want to probably replay it again on PC at some point. But I'm curious at this point of where the last game and how it's going to be released and stuff like that. But that's for us to worry about after the 2026, 2027 probably. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, next game, Astrobot. I think we've spoken a lot about Astrobot in terms of it's one of those games where you would have to struggle to find a flaw with that game. And a lot of the flaws that people mention is like how far it's up its own ass like it is and stuff like that that people complain about. But I've never felt that way when I was playing the game. I don't think maybe I just don't have that impression about the gameplay and the little references that the game has. It truly just seemed like a celebration of like PlayStation and the previous games that followed. The platforming, the music, the visuals, the controls, everything is just flawless in regards to how everything controls and stuff like that. I wish it was a little bit more difficult outside of just like the last like one or two challenges actually being anything worthwhile to talk about. But outside of that, it's just a joy to play from beginning to end, and a very good reason to own a PlayStation 5 for sure. It's not going to be on anything else for a little while, I think. And number 3 is going to be Helldivers 2. I think that was kind of the game that a lot of people talked about. I mean, we definitely talked about it in Discord way too much to the point that it annoyed other people. But it's a game with a lot of ups and downs, right? Like, it has so many different types of controversy, all different types of nerfs and technical issues that really got in the way of the game reaching my top 1. But no other game in recent memory, and I'm talking about like maybe in the last 5 years, has a game like captured my imagination in terms of like what a co-op experience ought to be. How each mission can feel like I'm playing a movie of how cinematic everything is. Just taking down that first Bile Titan as you're landing, after you die, you just land right on top of it. The first time you take down a fucking charger with the rocket just one square into the head as it's charging right at you. And there's so many moments in Helldivers 2 that just feels like no other game can compare to like the heights of it, and it's just constant in terms of like what it is able to offer you, and it really rewards your player's skill and knowledge as you continue to evolve as a player. You kind of understand the different types of loadouts that you have that work for certain enemy types that you face, and the recent Illuminate updates is a fantastic addition to the game and the way that it balances out the different types of weapons and how they're useful for different types of factions and stuff like that. And this is a game that I still play to this day. Not every day like I used to for at least like 2 months, but definitely like every week I'll play once or twice or just do like a full campaign of 3 missions. And then, I'll just kind of drop in later when a new war bond drops or new content drops and stuff like that. And every single time I go back to it, I'm glad that I did. I'm having so much fun. The game always impresses with how amazing it looks and sounds and stuff like that with the sound design. And it's just a tremendous game. I just wish it didn't have all that controversy and technical issues along the way that kind of dirtied the name of the game in the whole talks of game of the year. Next game is going to be my number 2. It's going to be Metaphor ReFantazio. This is just Atlas at the top of their game. They understood the things that they've been doing in terms of the Persona series with how they do the social links, how they do the combat. They understand the shortcomings and where they could have improved, and they put it all into this particular game. And the story, the characters, the presentation is all also really wonderful as well, but I was mostly impressed by the gameplay evolutions of the Persona series on present here. And I'm always, more willing to give props to a new IP over a remake or a sequel. So, good on Atlas. I think they made a fantastic game. I'm not sure if they're going to continue this as a franchise going forward or if this kind of like a one and done kind of deal. But very happy they went this direction. It was a really great game. And my number 1, which I guarantee is not going to be on anyone else's list, is going to be Tsukihime, A Piece of Blue Glass Moon, which is a visual novel by Type Moon.
I'm just going to let you know now. Yeah. You're correct.
Yes.
You don't know.
I know.
You don't know.
Oh, Ken, it's going to be on your list.
Ken boots something up, and if it's got cards or reading in it, he's out. So don't give him.
Tsukihime is pure 75 hours of reading, and I would do it again at any given time. Okay, that's how much I love that game. The game is all about its story, characters, the music, the way they present the story and everything. And I think in terms of a visual novel, it might be my favorite of all time. I wish they had English voice acting option. Which is funny to say because I think the Japanese is so good, I would probably end up using the Japanese anyway. But it would at least allow me to not read the parts where they are speaking. And that would have been really nice because, oh man, the sheer amount of reading on this game, the amount of content and story that is presented here is immense. And this is one of those stories that I think about like when I wake up just out of random about like the circumstances of characters, positions, the personalities that they have, like the hypotheticals that I have in my mind just kind of go wild when I think about these characters and the storyline and the way that things play out. So that speaks a lot, you know. I think lastability for a game specifically nowadays, where everything feels like you just kind of play the game and that's it, you know. You forget about it a week or two, month from now. But a really good story, really good cast of characters that you really come to love, it lasts. It stays with you for a very, very, very long time. And the fact that this ended up being a remake of the very first visual novel game, which you know, I wasn't supposed to read because I was way too young for that kind of content, but I ended up reading it anyway. And the fact that the remake ends up being my favorite, you know, after all that seems like a weird coincidence. Maybe it was just you know, it's one of those things where the first thing that introduces you to like a genre, right? Oftentimes is your favorite, right? Like for me, Final Fantasy VI is my favorite JRPG of all time, most likely because A, it's exceptional and classic and timeless, and B, it was also the first one of its time. And visual novels, I was introduced by Tsukihime as well, and then you know, now this remake is also one of my favorite too. So maybe that's just how it works, you know. When you have that first experience, it just gives a bump of significance to your development as like a person, and then it just kind of stays with you forever. But if you ever have the patience, yeah, go ahead.
I have two questions for you. One,
Sure.
this is Tsukihime. Oh, for fuck's sakes, I lost it. A piece of bluegrass moon, or glass
Correct.
moon, I should say. Okay.
Yeah.
Second, it was the first visual novel you played.
The first visual novel I played was Tsukihime. It was came
The
out like
original.
yeah, like I think it came out in like
Okay.
the 90s. Yeah. So I played that on PC on a very very old computer, you know. And then, you know, it was a fan translated kind of project and stuff like that. So definitely was not age appropriate for me. But I ended up playing it and loving it back then. And then now, you know, I'm grown up. I actually have a brain of an adult that can actually understand all the little nuances and stuff like that and really appreciate the stuff that's going on. And I love it even more. And they changed a lot of things about it. And I think 99% of the changes they made were for the better as well. So, all right, that's my top 10.
All right. Well, I think we'll move on to the Wombat because I think Terrence is stepped away. So.
All right. Well, I will start. Unlike Jay, I have no lofty aspirations, and so I have disappointments. So a couple of my disappointments won't be a surprise. Actually, probably all of them won't be a surprise, but we'll go through them anyway. So NBA 2K25 is on that list, and it will continue to stay on that list until they change their practices around virtual currency.
So
and
never.
the earning and the use of that virtual currency. So yeah, you're probably right, Ken. Never. I keep waiting
Can't wait
for
to
them
see
to
how
not
the
send them
$100 version of Grand Theft Auto 6 has you spending money for virtual currency too, because it's the
Oh
same
yeah.
company.
Oh yeah, shark cards,
Yep.
baby.
Yep. Yeah, they do that online today. The problem with NBA 2K is that they tie it explicitly to your career mode player, which is what destroys the whole thing. If it was just for online play against other people, whatever, that's not what I come to the game for anyway. The problem is they tie it inexorably to your career player, which is awful. Number two is, or no, also on my disappointments list, was Topspin 2K24. I have been looking forward to a new Topspin game for a very long time. And this one, they got the tennis right and almost nothing else. It's just way too shallow and bereft of content for what that game should have been after as long a way as it was. The good news is they got the tennis right, so hopefully in the future they'll be able to expand on that a little bit. But it was certainly disappointing compared to where my expectations were. WWE 2K24 is on my list because even though it was the best playing game in the 2K series for WWE, again, everything else was broken and still had some of the same legacy issues that it's always had that they refused to fix. So a lot of 2K representation on my disappointments list. So I look forward to them not sending me any games to review next week. And then last on my list of disappointments is Star Wars Outlaws.
Oh yeah.
I was really looking forward to that game, and it just never clicked for me. I understand it clicked for some other people. I think that's great. I'm glad that Terrence specifically, I'm glad enjoyed it. It was not for me. It was a game that they built entirely around stealth. Let's just put it this way: they built the game entirely around stealth, and then felt like they needed to take out the stealth. So that should tell you everything you need to know about that game's development and the way it was received. Disappointing game. I wish it had been better than it was. All right, some honorable mentions. I'm going to put Plucky Squire on the list as an honorable mention. I enjoyed that game. I thought it had a really cool art style. The game itself was a little bit shallow, but I really enjoyed the art style. I enjoyed the sort of the new things that they tried with that game. So it earns a spot as an honorable mention, just not a spot on my actual list. Soul Reaver 1 and 2 remastered. It's a very competent remaster. I did not feel comfortable putting something like that on my list, even if I didn't have a chance to play through as much of it as I wanted to. But even if I had, I wouldn't have felt as comfortable putting it on my list above some of the other experiences that I played this year. But it was a very competent remaster, so I wanted to make sure I at least mentioned it. Another game that is probably by some people's estimations, a little bit shallow, but I still thought it was cool and thought it deserved at least an honorable mention. Is Little Kitty Big City. It's just a neat little game, and it's got it's a pretty charming game. And I know we all got sick of game reviewers saying things were charming 20 years ago, but
if you're a fan of the genre,
yeah. If you're a fan of the genre, visceral combat. No. So I enjoyed the charm of that game, and I thought it was a neat little experience. So it deserved a spot as an honorable mention. Also an honorable mention, and I'm breaking the rules a little bit here, but you'll understand why when I get into it. Are two games that came out a very long time ago. But both got significant content updates this year, and so also got a significant amount of playtime from me, probably 80 hours between the two this year because of content updates they added, and that's No Man's Sky and Stardew Valley. And I just felt like those games got so much of my time this year because the creators have done such a wonderful job of keeping them updated and continually adding content for free to both of those games. They were already, tremendous experiences, and both developers have done just an absolutely wonderful job of keeping those games updated and fresh and adding new stuff. So I really look forward to the new games from both of those creators if and when they ever show up. But definitely took up a lot of my time this year, so I wanted to make sure that they at least got called out. Okay, so here's the top 10. And I have changed the order of this list like 6 times already. So if as I go through it you're arguing with my order, just know that I am too. So number 10 is Indiana Jones. I mentioned on the podcast a couple weeks ago that I sort of got burned out on that game because I tried to do everything in the first area, and so I took a break. It is though, it's a pretty remarkable achievement that game is, just all around in terms of presentation, in terms of voice acting, in terms of you know having the nuts to make a first-person Indiana Jones game. Um, is a pretty laudable accomplishment, I think. And I know it's what Machine Games does, but when they first announced the game and that it was going to be an FPS, everybody was like, "Why would you make a first-person Indiana Jones game?" And they made it work. Uh, the first area, the Vatican area, was really great. Had some really great puzzles, some really cool stuff to find, and really the burnout is probably my own fault because I I tend to try to accomplish all the side stuff even if the game doesn't want me to accomplish the side stuff yet, which is something else I'm running into in a different game that's on my list. So I will it is a game that I will definitely go back to and at least play through the main story for because it is really a tremendous achievement. Number 9 is a game that I think I'm probably the only one who will have on their list, and that's Berserk Boy. Um, Really fun Mega Man style game with a lot of cool sort of powers, I guess is the best way for me to put it, and some neat level design. It's got a cool concept where you're rescuing sort of resistance members as you play through each one of the levels, which then unlocks different pieces of the level. It's a very competent Mega Man style clone that's also a lot faster and more forgiving than most Mega Man games. So if you like 2D platformer Mega Man style games, it's definitely worth checking out. Number 8, another 2D platformer that I really loved and need to make my way back to finish is Nine Souls. The game is not easy. It has a very Sekiro-like combat system that involves a lot of parries. The good news is the parry timing is relatively flexible, but there's a lot of tricky platforming, a lot of cool secrets, some fun boss fights, and they do a great job of slowly unfolding the story of the game. Visually, it looks incredible. Plays very well. Very, very, very good, difficult 2D platformer. Those two back to back are very, very different. Berserk Boy much more on the easy side than Nine Souls is, but Nine Souls also on Game Pass, so definitely worth playing if you have any interest in that genre. Um, Number 7, and this is a game that I have battled where to put it on my list, and it shouldn't be a surprise, is Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Uh, Drew, I think, said it very, very well, and of course, we've beat the game to death. I'm confident it will also be on Terrence's list, so I'll also let him wax poetic about it. But it is a game that when it is doing things the right way, it is really, really good. And you start to feel like maybe it recaptures some of the magic of the series. And then it does something that's super disappointing. So it's, if you had told me that a new Dragon Age game was going to come out, that was competent, but that wouldn't crack my top 5, I'd have told you were crazy, because that's how much love I have for the series. But the reality is, there are some times when I think, would I still like this game as much as I do if it wasn't a Dragon Age game? And then there are some times when I think, would I still be bothered by this as much as I am if it wasn't a Dragon Age game, right? So I think the name probably does some benefit for me at times, and also does some harm to the game for me at times, because there are expectations I have of the series that the game just doesn't quite live up to all the time. But there are also some times where it's clear that the source material lends this game some credibility that it kind of desperately needs. So yeah, that's enough from me. I'll let Terrence talk more about it, and Drew obviously said a lot about it too, but that's where it landed on my list. Number 6 is Astrobot, and the again, I know Ken will talk more about this game, because I'm confident that one's pretty high up on his list. It is a tremendous platformer, the kind of game that we don't get enough of from people who aren't named Nintendo anymore, and honestly don't get enough of from Nintendo anymore either. Just a pure 3D platformer that has a lot of love for the history of Sony games, and not just, thankfully, not just the really popular current stuff, but the history of Sony games, even including obscure stuff from PS1, right? Um, so yeah, that's all I'll say about it, because I know Ken will have stuff to say about it too. But it's a tremendous platformer, and well worth playing. All right, so here's the top 5, and the top 5, with the exception of number 1, I have changed the order of operations on this top 5 like 6 times in the last 2 days. But this is where I landed. So number 5 is Dragon's Dogma 2. I spent a lot of time talking about this game when it came out, and how it does what I'll call the Lord of the Rings part of RPGs incredibly well, better than any other game in the genre, with the possible exception of Tears of the Kingdom, where there's so much of the game is about getting from one place to another. There are a lot of RPGs, and Starfield is a comparison. I'm not going to talk a ton about Starfield based on the way we kind of beat that game up in the past, but Starfield was very much a game about who gives a shit about getting from one destination to another. It's about doing all the stuff at the destination and then moving to the next destination. Dragon's Dogma 2 is just like the first one, very much about, yeah, there's a destination, yeah, there's stuff you're going to do there, but all the stuff between where you're at and where you're going is just as important, which is awesome. And what I want to see more of in RPGs, because the whole genre is supposed to be about adventure, right? And this game captures the spirit of adventure better than most others. I don't want to set out to go to this place in the afternoon, because then it's going to get dark, right? So I need to sleep somewhere, and I need to wait until morning. Or I'm halfway through my adventure and it's getting dark and the enemies are starting to get more numerous and I'm starting to run out of health. Oh, great, there's a campsite over here. Let me camp for the night and wait till the next morning. That's the kind of adventure stuff that I don't feel like enough RPGs do today, and Dragon's Dogma does a tremendous job of it. So that game at various points this year would have been, very, very near the top, but over the last several months, it's tricked its way down my list a little bit. Number 4, and there'll be some people surprised that this is number 4, but I'll explain, is Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake. Obviously it's a remake of one of my favorite RPGs of all time, and not just a remake, but an incredibly competent remake. It is, I think, definitively the best way to play Dragon Quest III, and Dragon Quest III is my favorite Dragon Quest game. So it is as near perfect as it can be. The only reason it's number 4 on my list is because I kind of made the decision that I wanted to give the top 3 spots to some games that I felt like did something new this year, and you know, did something new very well, and not take the easy way out of giving number one to one of my favorite games of all time, to an incredible remake of one of my favorite games of all time. But that doesn't mean um, that I feel any less excited about what they were able to do with this HD 2D remake, and my excitement for the remake of 1 and 2 that are to come.
This is
Uh,
this is your number 4?
that's my number 4.
How dare you? You just hate Dragon Quest, clearly.
Yeah, clearly. Clearly that's what it is. Clearly. Um, by the way, am I the only one that played that this year?
I have it, but this year's been a mess.
Sure.
That's all I'll say.
I have
Yeah,
it too.
I'm gonna play it
like
at
I
some
played
point.
it, but I haven't. Like I started maybe like the beginning of it, but I haven't really gone back to it because I just there's been other stuff. But I plan on it.
It's been a hell of a year, so I get it. But it
I
is,
think
if you've ever loved Dragon Quest, or if you've ever loved just I think sort of turn-based RPGs in general, it takes what was already a really great story and enhances it quite a bit. So it's I was very, very curious. The original game relies pretty heavily on you at least having played the first Dragon Quest. And I'm not going to spoil why, but I know why they released this remake first, because chronologically it's the first game. But I was really curious how they were going to handle the last third of the game, and they do it very well. You still, I think, get more out of it if you've played Dragon Quest, the original. But it's they do a great job of landing the plane. So if you own it, especially, and I know there's a lot of games coming out, it's 50 hours probably to see and do everything. Actually, hold on, I can tell you because
it's gonna be
I did
played
basically everything. So,
back to back with the first 2 remakes when that comes out.
oh, gotcha. Yeah, I mean
That's
that's a
my
good way to
plan.
do it. Because those two are at least one of those two is supposed to come out this year.
Well, I think they're both together.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not
I
sure.
think it's supposed to be 1 and 2 together. That's how they showed that off, was 1 and 2 and then 3. Which is
Okay.
how they
Yeah, I
released
mean
it on the Game Boy Color back in the day anyways, but
yeah. Um, so 35 hours, by the way, is what I put into it. There is just like all the Dragon Quest remakes, a hard as fuck post game boss that you have to grind a lot for. So if you wanted to do everything, you're probably talking 45 to 50 hours, I think. Um, but yeah, it's an incredible achievement. And that's a lot to say about what is number 4 on my list. All right, so number 3 is Black Myth Wukong. Jay said it very well. The way they tell the story in this game is really, really great. And some of the animated cutscenes between acts, um, like Jay said, would be great, short films on their own right. Especially, I think, Jay, the one, my favorite of them was the one that's basically stop motion animation
Yes,
with
yes.
the cloth.
Yep.
That was just really, really cool. And it's in addition to those story bits. I played the game entirely in Chinese with subtitles, and you still get such a really rich story out of the bosses and the dialogue bits between bosses. I've heard people say that it's kind of a boss rush game and there's not much to do between the bosses, and I don't think that's true at all. Um, the the game certainly puts an emphasis on its bosses, and there are more than 100 of them. So it makes sense. But there's a lot of exploration and secrets to find, some of which are super well concealed. In some cases, I think probably a little too well concealed. But the game, there is certainly a lot of stuff to do between the bosses. And there are so many bosses that I shouldn't say all, that are most all pretty different from each other, which I think is an achievement in and of itself. And the way the game handles the ending is also really great. And there are, in this game also some secret, incredibly hard bosses to fight at the end. And the secret end boss has some really epic pieces to it. So yeah, it's, I know I talked a lot about the game when it came out, when I played it the first time. If you have not played it and you like, difficult action games, it's not a Souls-like. It's got some pieces to it that would place it, I guess, in a Souls adjacent genre. But it really is more of an action game. It's incredibly well made, and like Jay said, they do a really great job of building it up as a sequel to Journey to the West. So I loved it, and there was a time when it would have been number 2 on my list, and then on December 27th, I bought a game called Balatro, and I've put 60 hours into it since December 27th.
I
Wow.
love it.
For
So
Ryan, that's intense.
it's intense, which is why I'm glad I bought it
so
on the
good.
Steam Deck and not on the phone, because it would have really damaged my productivity. But yeah, it's just for that to be the product of one guy, with all the systems and all the ways that the different Jokers interact with each other, and there is strategy in that game that I can't, like, you got to be thinking 6 levels deep on some of the strategy required, and mixing and matching Jokers and how the way different Jokers play off of each other. And then you add in the enhanced cards as well and how those play off against the different Jokers. I feel like every time I play that, every time I do a run, there's at some point in the run, even when I'm not having a lot of luck, there's an oh shit, okay, I get it moment. That connects, 2 cards together, or connects 2 Jokers together, or whatever. It is just a fantastic game, and well worth everyone playing, as long as you don't mind sacrificing a whole bunch of your free time to it. And then number 1, which I don't think is a surprise, and I think I even said a couple weeks ago that it was going to be my number 1, is Helldivers 2. Jay did a great job of explaining what makes the game so great. It is one of the most cinematic games I've ever played. And for me, the real achievement of this game was the fact that I didn't play multiplayer very much at all. And while the game is obviously much more fun when you're playing with your friends, it is a perfectly competent multiplayer game, even when you're playing with people you have never met in your life.
Yeah.
And even when you're not talking, everyone is marching towards the same goal, right? And you've got 4 folks out there against overwhelming numbers, and the general gist is super simple, right? It's go in, do these things, and extract. But every single time, it's different. And it doesn't matter that the maps are similar, and it doesn't matter that you're fighting one of 3, enemy groups, and it doesn't matter that there's, 24 different types of objectives, maybe more than that now, I don't know, because the emergent gameplay that happens as soon as you drop in is completely different every run. and it's a kind of miraculous, honestly, that it all comes together as well as it does. But I had more fun playing Helldivers this year than any other game by far, and I loved all the games on my list. So that should tell you how incredible Helldivers is as an experience. And today, speaking of Dragon Age, I was reading through some articles about Dragon Age after hearing that the director had left, and I was reading through an article that was from a while ago from Jason Schreier. It was specifically about Anthem. And there's a little part of that article where he describes what the original pitch for Anthem was. And the original pitch was basically drop in, go do something, and then fight your way back out. And I was immediately struck by how much it sounded like Helldivers and how much more successful Anthem would have been if the structure was similar. And it's kind of a shame that that's not what we ended up getting. But at the same time, if that is what we had ended up getting, we might not have ended up with Helldivers 2. So I'm grateful at the same time that Anthem went the path that it did, because it meant more fertile ground for Helldivers. And I know there's been some criticism about the fact that they're going to make a movie. I think there's a chance for it to be pretty good, because the humor and the satire on display in the game is really well done. So yeah, not much else to say there. As Jay mentioned, we beat that game to death, both on the podcast and in the Discord. So I'll leave it there, but it is my number one.
All right. Well, Terrence, it's time for you to go.
Oh, why you sound so sad about it, though? What? Daggone.
I mean, if that's how you took it, then maybe there's some underlying issues you have to deal with.
Oh, well,
I'm not going to let him gaslight you, even though you tried to gaslight me earlier. He did say that like a sad son of a bitch.
I guess I appreciate
like
the help.
Like you just murdered his dog or something.
I mean,
shit.
Yeah, it did sound like that, but damn, you ain't have to sideways slap me at the same time, no. God.
I'm curious if you're gonna. So it's like
so contentious.
This happens every year, but like we get this late in the show, and I'm like, huh. So I still have like maybe 2 or 3 games on my list that nobody's mentioned. I think Terrence is going to hit one of them. So I'm curious.
So I'm not as magnanimous as Jay, so I came up with a disappointments list while everybody else was talking, since everybody else had one. Because and it's surprising because I think my disappointment list is longer than my top 10 list.
I'll say this about Jay. Jay is very picky about what he plays. I have proven myself to be an idiot and get excited about the wrong games multiple fucking times now.
Hi, my name is Terrence Johnson. Did we just meet? Because that's totally me. I mean, because listen, one of my disappointments is Skull and Bones. I mean, come on, like that was, y'all know I wanted that to be great. Like I love some pirate shit, but actually the one I wanted to start with for me, when you actually did like wood and stuff, like you can come off the ship. I forgot that we even had that.
Whoever else did that, that was a great minds, man. Great minds.
God dang it. Anyway, so my number one, yeah. See, this is, I'm happy that when I go, everybody is all active, and now we remember we have a soundboard and shit. That's good. This should make my segment a lot of fun. All right, so my number one is Balatro, Disappointment. Which is crazy because I feel like I'm like arguably the biggest card player in here than maybe Drew. And I do not like this game. And I think listening to all of y'all wax poetic about it, I think it's because I'm not a poker fan, and I have played it in VR. Like I was doing it a lot actually in the VR thing. It was a lot of fun, but that's really the only place I've ever done it. I've never been like a poker player. Like I always play like spades or something. And I think maybe that's why it's not grabbing me. So like, cause I tried to play it a couple times and I kind of was getting it, what was happening, but it wasn't really sticking. And I was like, man, this is more frustrating than fun. So I'm not going to force it.
If you're not a poker guy, I don't think it's not going to grab you. I don't think.
Got you.
I think you have to have a certain appreciation for poker for it to.
Well, and it was Drew that really, I think, hit hammer at that point because he was saying that that's how he's selling it to people. Like, hey, man, you know poker? Yeah, I know that. Play this game. Like, so I don't know poker like that. Like, I was still using like cheat sheets and shit when I was doing it in VR. So I think that's probably why. But yeah, it's just funny to see, especially Ryan, who's so anti-card, and he's like, yeah, man, 60 hours.
To be fair, I'm anti card collection.
Okay.
I
Okay.
love actual poker.
Got you.
But yeah, I can't stand the card collection stuff.
I got you.
But yeah, it's I could see why if you were the type of person that doesn't really like poker, I could see why it wouldn't have that much appeal.
And I think that's what it is.
Maybe that's what he should do next. Is he should make a spades version of Balatro.
I would probably be all over that. I love spades. Oh my god.
I do too. Yeah, spades was a big deal when I was growing up. My friends and I played that a lot.
Same, like, cousins. Like, people come over to the house right now. You playing spades? Oh yeah, I got cards. Got a drawer full of cards. What kind of cards you want? Like, yeah. I don't know. This one it didn't get me. But okay. So speaking of, Anthony was talking about being excited about games and, whatever. So Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League is on my list of disappointments. I didn't hate the game. I've said
Also,
that, but it just
a runner-up for Yorick. We knew the well.
I forgot that
definitely
game even came out this year. For me,
Yep.
in my head, I thought that was a last year game.
No, you know what? It's crazy. It was actually the first like big game, I'm using air quotes, that came out this year because it was like early January, early February. Because I bought the fucking $100 edition so I could play it early because I was super hyped about it because I'm a fucking idiot and buy into all of that shit. And it just it wasn't all that. Like I enjoyed my initial playthrough. Like I've talked about it before. The story is not bad. I liked the story. But once you finish that, the game really reveals itself at you because there had this promise of, seasonal content and all this because of course it's a game as a service, but you realize that to even touch, and this is really what killed it for me, to even play as the extra characters like that they added. So Joker was first up. So you beat the game at one level, you've beat it, defeated the big boss and whatever. Now the city is open for you to kind of continue farming for better equipment and blah, blah, blah. So they introduced the new character. In order to play it, you have to you're forced to do all the same kind of activities that you've been doing this whole time up until to get to a certain level where you then have to fight a boss that you fought before. Only this time he has a couple of new tricks. And then you get the Joker. Only to wash, rinse, and repeat with the additional 3 characters that they have come in.
Bullshit.
And while they added some new activities, it just was way too much of a slog. And no. So, I mean, it just, it ended up on a disappointment. It's like, I didn't hate the story. I know there was a lot of controversy about what they did with different stuff, and they've kind of revealed what they, which I don't know if I believe. I feel like they might have pivoted at the last moment. But either way, I kind of am glad that they did because it didn't shoehorn them into a, I guess, a path. And when I say them, I mean Rocksteady Games. So, yeah. Second, Foam Stars is on my disappointments list. I'm a fan of what is that? Splatoon. And I thought Foam Stars was kind of going to be that. Nah, it wasn't. It was like bath time wafu. I don't know, because like you literally out here blowing bubbles and skating on bubbles. And it just, bro, it wasn't.
Bath time wafu is my new favorite description of a game.
Listen, so it's funny because, and we're not talking about it, because you have me reviewing that Synduality game, and if that ain't the wafuest simulator, man, we'll talk about it next week. Oh my god, I'm so that anyway. All right, next on my list of disappointments, Banisher's Ghost of New Eden.
Was that this year?
Super cool concept. What'd you say?
Was that this year?
Yeah, it was this year for sure.
It was. Yeah, it was this year.
Man, I swore. Wow. Okay.
Super cool concept. Just it stumbled in execution. Even like the story and stuff was cool. This ghost hunting or demon hunt, I can't remember, like married couple and one of them it ends up being a ghost and stuff. Like, it just super cool concept, but it just the combat and stuff was a little
Dude,
iffy, and they may have
the
go ahead.
NPCs would not shut the fuck up.
That was another thing, but that's like in all of them now. Like the NPCs.
Yeah, but this
talk
one
too
was
much.
like excessive. Like,
You're true. You're right. You're absolutely right.
oh, that's what drug that game down for me. I was like, I can't. You just won't stop talking. Like, you're saying nothing, literally nothing.
I feel it. But yeah, it was that. Yeah, it was definitely a disappointment for me. I already said Skull and Bones. We've talked about that one. Rise of the Ronin, is another disappointment. This was not Ninja Theory. I can't think of Team Ninja.
Yeah,
This was
it's
Team Ninja.
Team
Yeah.
Ninja. Yeah.
I don't know. I just expected more. The combat. When I think of Team Ninja, I think of Ninja Gaiden because I'm an old man. So I, go back to, I'm thinking, oh shit, that's what we're about to get in this game. Yeah, not so much. It's open world. Like, you have to, unlock villages and different things and stuff. Lots of side quests and different villagers to talk to. There's like spirit dogs that you can send out and they can talk to other players because it's got that, well, actually it has co-op. You can run missions with people, too. But it just, the combat was just not it for me. And the open world stuff just felt, I don't know. It just felt off. Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn, another one that I had a lot of.
That was a bad game.
Yeah, maybe 30 minutes I put into it, but I had a lot of hope for it. But another one that just didn't, I don't think it came together. Quidditch Champions. Listen, that should have been in Hogwarts Legacy for real. Instead, they spun it off into its cash grab of a thing where they're charging you for skins and shit like that in a paid game, which is what that Sin Duality game does. Like, I'm gonna talk about it next week. Never mind. I'm sorry. Anyways, but yeah, Quidditch Champions is, the gameplay is overly complicated for what it is. And this is the one where I played the alpha as well. I think I played the alpha, the beta, like, and the full version. So I've seen it kind of evolve. And they had it, I think, at the beta version, but that they changed shit from the beta to the final, where you now control like everybody. And so you have to switch between characters and stuff. Rather, it just is really weird. And they should have just put this in Hogwarts Legacy, but WB is going to WB, so we get Quidditch Champions. Every time anybody talks about that, that's what I think of, that frog. That's how you know we're old, because we know where that frog came from. Looney Tunes. And this one, okay. Greedfall 2, Legend of Early Access. That's really not what it's called, but did y'all even know that Greedfall 2 came out? I bet you didn't know.
Well, it's in early access,
not,
right?
and I loved the original. I had no idea that it was out in early access.
It's in early access for PC, and it ain't good. So,
no.
Yeah. So, absolutely, just wait for it to, actually release if you want to mess with it. But yeah, at launch, no, it's just no.
I love that game. The first game,
I hate
too,
early access. Yeah, I hate early access. Like, and I didn't think that because what is it, Spiders? Is that who does the
Spiders?
Yeah.
It's like throwing spaghetti at a wall with spiders.
It is. You're absolutely right. Like, they are hit and miss. But like, the first one was so good, right? Like, I just assumed that this one was, but that's what happens when you assume. So that's what I get. Last two disappointments. Flint, Treasure of Oblivion, which my review for this just went up. Again, I love pirate shit. This is just broken and confusing. Like, it wants to be Baldur's Gate 3. Like, there's a turn-based dice system with the combat, but between the glitches and it doesn't know what it is. Like, it doesn't know if it wants to be turn-based combat with the dice RPG stuff or ship. It's a lot of shit. Like, I feel like they threw a bunch of shit at the wall, and whatever stuck was like, yep, this is what we're going to do. And this game is actually a prequel to Treasure Island, if you've ever read that. So this is actually what I guess about the treasure that Captain Flint, what they're chasing in Treasure Island. If you've ever read that book, I'm sure most of y'all have. And the last one is the casting of Frank Stone, which was the Dead by Daylight crossover game, or not crossover, but I guess it was set in the world of Dead by Daylight. I expected more, just on a lore aspect and gameplay wise, and it wasn't, especially from the studio. It just wasn't it. My bad, homie. What were you saying?
No, I was totally in agreement with you. I like this. I love the studio. I love those kind of games. They're like the perfect sit down and play through the entire thing in one sitting kind of deal, like a 2-3 hour experience kind of deal. I love those, Until Dawn, blah, blah, blah. And this one just kind of, I don't know, just didn't hit any of the marks that
none of them
usually hits, which is really unfortunate.
Yep. Yeah, because those games I normally play with like my kids. So, they were all excited. We're sitting down to play it, and, we pass the controller from character to character. Everybody's like, oh man, I am so fucking bored. Like this, it just, oh man, it wasn't it. Okay, so honorable mentions. I guess a couple of these were on some people's list. My first one is Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Big Dragon Ball fan. I've talked about it before. This is the pinnacle of those fighting games, especially after the last patch that they did. It kind of evened out some stuff. It was shaky in the beginning on Xbox, like, because the multiplayer was hit or miss. Like, it would work sometimes for some people, and other people couldn't get on at all. I fell into the later half, which was weird because it worked pre-release, but this was it's got like everybody who's been in Dragon Ball that you could want in a fighting game, which is cool. And they're releasing, more DLC as well. And then the second fighting game is Tekken 8 for me, an honorable mention. Hihashi is my guy. And while I liked Reina, who fights like him, I'm so happy that they brought the king back. So yeah, pick him up in DLC. Sonic X Shadow Generations. I did not play the Sonic Generations game. So both of these are like new games for me. And the Shadow game is really, like Anthony was the draw. Is a lot of fun. A whole lot of fun. It can be overwhelming because Shadow has a lot of different like controls and stuff, and so when you're going through the different like levels, like you have to shoot different things and jump off of this and then hit X to do the little dash thing. It's a lot. It could be a lot of stuff. Do a lot of stuff rather, but I don't know. It's just so much fun. And the soundtrack, oh my god, the soundtrack was fire. The Plucky Squire was in my honorable mentions. I enjoyed this game. I guess the reason it's not on my list is because it wasn't as fun to me as some of the others that are on here. But I definitely enjoyed like the different change ups and gameplay with this, with the boss fights and the mix of the 3D world and the 2D world and stuff. It was a lot of fun. Last honorable mention is Pal World. It's Pokemon with guns. I know there was a lot of talk, and may still be, I don't know, about the use of AI or if Nintendo's going to shut them down, which I guess they did because of how you throw the PAL sphere, whatever they're called in there. But I don't know. I like if Nintendo did something like this, I'd be all over it because it plays like a survival game, kind of like Ark. So I mean, you're building up bases and different stuff, and there's an evil organization, so there's other humans out there that have these power worlds, and it's just like you're trying to live in the with different Pokemon around you. So I don't know, if Nintendo did something like this, I'd be 100% all over it. But yeah, Power World is my last honorable mention. Okay, get to this top 10. I won't wax too poetic because I think almost all of these have already been spoken of. But my number 10 is, in fact, as Ryan called, Dragon Age: The Veil Guard. Like them, I like this game. And what's funny is I can't even fully talk about this yet, but I was going back and forth about putting on this list because of something else that I'm playing for review. And I'm like, man, the similarities of these two, and of the one being what I wanted from the other, is, I don't know. Anyways, but yeah, it's Dragon Age it's not a horrible game. But there was definitely some questionable decisions, and it's a shame that you can really tell that it was supposed to be, multiplayer and games as a service and all that stuff. So I don't know. I like Drew said, and Ryan talked about with that lead leaving. Hopefully that they can course correct.
This game does not sound like it should be on anybody's list.
It
doesn't.
It's tough to talk about, man. It really is. It does some things so well.
The game is disappointing, and they do stuff wrong, and the games are bad. 7 out of 10. Also, bottom of my list.
Listen, okay. I wish I could explain it. Because and it's funny too, because the only reason that I have put the pause on it, not put the pause, I'm not beating it up, but I paused playing it, is because I'm playing something else for review. Well, a lot of something else's, but the other thing in particular, and just there's a lot of similarities. But we'll talk about that another day. But yeah, so Dragon Age is my number 10. I just Anyway, number 9, and the reason why I did the little clapping thing, because I won't even wax poetic about this, is Sandland. Anthony, I don't think that I know that I don't necessarily have the same, I don't feel about it how Anthony does. Like, I love the game, but you have almost like an emotional attachment to it because of, Akira Toriyama and everything. I like the man's art style and stuff, and the gameplay and everything was cool. Like, I didn't read the manga of this. So all of it was new to me. But you're absolutely right when saying that it kind of feels like a Mad Max, like I think maybe a happier version of Mad Max, because that is very depressing. Because with the tank customization, and there's more than just tanks too. That there's different vehicles that you get on there. In the open world stuff, it does have that. Not Far Cry-esque, but there are, side quests and different things for you to chase down. But it does feel very much like Anthony said, the very best parts of those PS2 games, like a Dark Cloud and stuff like that. So that's definitely why it had made the list. This one, who I think this may be on Ken's list, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown.
There's one.
Is number 8. Oh, nice. This
game
was
I bought and didn't play.
Fucking good.
Definitely
so
should. It is
good.
a fantastic game. The story. You know what? Oh man, everything. Like I'm trying to think of like something super like negative about it. Like, it's really good. Like I don't know. Like the spinning blades and some of the reflexes that you need to get across some of those rooms. Because that's I finished the story and I haven't actually gone back to try the DLC.
Yeah, I didn't either, but like the game itself is just so good.
It is good.
I'm not being facetious when I say this. It is this generation's Symphony of the Night. It's that good.
Damn. Big words.
I mean, that game that game is that good.
Yeah, you're right. It is. And it's huge. I don't think it's as big as Symphony.
Symphony of the Night's not that big. It's only about 12 to 13 hours. So it's about the same size.
Okay. Yeah, it is about the same. Yeah. Yeah, it is really good. Like, if you are a fan of those Metroidvania games or a Prince of Persia fan, 100% you should check this game out. Like, yeah, Anthony, you should make some time to definitely play it.
Question for you and Ken, who seems to have really enjoyed this game. So, I love some Metroidvania games. I played about like 20 to 30 minutes of this game. I thought it was good. I liked what I saw, but I just wasn't hooked. And I just never went to it. Does it get way better as the game goes, or does the quality stay the same, or what?
No, it definitely gets better, especially as you get more powers and you get into almost like Meat Boy style challenges of trying to juggle all your abilities to get through these puzzles. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I get you.
It does. And I see what you mean. It does start slow. Yeah. It does start slow. But as you start, like he said, as you start to get more powers and stuff, it definitely amps up.
Got it.
But yeah, that's the number 8. Number 7, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I, like Ryan, have taken a break from Indiana Jones because I, like Ryan, did everything in the first area. And by the time I'm in the second area, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm 35 hours into the game. Lord Jesus. And now I got to do it all over again. Like there's another list of stuff. So
Yep.
I think when I go back to it, I'm going to try to just kind of stay focused on the story, and play out the story. Cause what I have played so far is fantastic. Like this 100% feels like an Indiana Jones movie. It's really good. And I, because I think Ryan said this, I was kind of on the camp of what the fuck? Why are we doing Indiana Jones in first person? Like I don't want to do this. No, it works. I'm really happy to eat the crow there. It definitely works. I like the fact that it doesn't play like, what do they make? Wolfenstein? It's not like a balls to the wall shooter like that, because that's not what Indiana Jones is. That wouldn't fit the character.
There's very little shooting in that entire game.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I don't even know. I can't remember one time that I fired a gun.
I haven't.
Yeah, and I'm probably halfway through the second area.
Yeah, you won't find like a shooting section of that game. There are guns available, but I never use them.
See, because when you knock out certain people, like they'll drop, rifles and stuff like that. I never pick them up. Like I'm like, no, I don't want to use a gun. I'll hit someone with this broom. Or that's been my new thing. Like when I was playing, like I was always looking for the most outrageous stuff you can pick up and knock people out with. And I got an achievement actually for knocking out somebody with I think a fly swatter or something. So yeah. It's a very good game. And like I said, feels like an Indiana Jones movie. So I'm anxious to get back to it, but I am going to have to stay, I think, focused, because I think if you try to
y'all need to
knock
stop
everything
running
out,
around the entire levels. Like that story is so good.
That was my problem, I think, too, is that, so again, everybody knows that I'm not the type of person that sees, 15 things to check off a list in an area and just goes, oh, that's neat, I'll come back to that at some point. No, they're getting checked off the list while I'm
that's
here.
how I am, right?
But the problem is the check off the list stuff in that game isn't great. It's like the same, find these 10 artifacts. The side quests are a little samey.
Some of them are, yes.
Collections thing. Yeah, some of them are. So I burnt myself out on that stuff. I need to stick to the content that feels like Indiana Jones, and not the content that feels like I'm Banjo-Kazooie.
If you want to do if you want to do that stuff, you can do it after you are done.
Yeah, that's what I probably need to.
I saw that. Yeah, because you can like teleport back to the different levels from. Something popped up that I read that explained.
You can do that in the game.
Oh shoot!
Like anytime you pull up your journal, you can travel back to a previously visited area.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna stay focused and finish the story, because I am intrigued. It is definitely good. Number 6.
I just got Game Pass to install it. So
nice.
It's so good.
I think probably I would even enjoy the game more if I had the kind of nostalgia for Indiana Jones that the rest of you guys have. I don't even have that much nostalgia for the series, and I still thought it was excellent. So
yeah, if you have nostalgia for it, it like hits so many, especially if you get through the story. Like I hate that I haven't been able to talk to anybody about it, but when you find out what it's actually about, it's so fucking cool.
Nice. Yeah, I'm looking for. See, and listen, I'm so much of an Indiana Jones nerd. I take advantage of every spotlight and everything that gives me a silhouette, and I have to pose myself perfectly, and I take a screenshot of it. Like that's how you know, because that's the Indiana Jones shot. Standing, and you have the silhouette of his hat and stuff. I'm like, yeah. Oh man, they did a great job.
Are you a bigger fan than Paris?
Oh, don't start.
What's up?
Don't start.
Wait, hold on. Okay, I'm not running around with the hat on myself. All right, I'm talking about in the game. Was he doing that? Nah, I gotta stop doing it. Damn it. Thanks, Anthony. That was bringing me a little bit of joy. Ain't that a bitch? All right. Well, number 6. Honestly, if I had played more of this game, it probably would be higher. Like I debated where to put it on here, but it is Metaphor Fantasio, however you say the name of it, whatever. I like the Persona games. I don't love them like some people do, but I definitely do enjoy them. Like they just have a certain je ne sais quoi to them, a certain style that's just really cool. And then the soundtracks is always dope and everything. But I never really vibed with the school kind of stuff, like because they all take place in a school. I love that this, like I think Jay said, the Team Atlas is taking all of their skills that they've learned and kind of perfected it here. And it's not that kind of, I mean, you're playing as Mighty Young, but it's not set in a school. It's a more fantasy based thing. And the story, I mean, after the first cutscene, they had me hooked. I was like, oh shit, they own some Game of Thrones type stuff. Oh goodness. Like, yeah, this is really cool. And had I played more, I know it would have been higher on the list. So I'm looking forward to finishing that this year. Number 5, which, like I said, I didn't think it was going to be on anybody's list. I think Ryan mentioned it as a disappointment, but it's Star Wars Outlaws. I enjoyed Star Wars Outlaws. I actually finished it before they took out all the stealth stuff. And this is another one of those games, kind of like Veilguard, where I do have complaints about it, but I enjoyed the story so much. And the characters that they had in there. Like I really hope that they don't leave what they built narratively wise with these characters, to die, because it was really good. Like there are some, like the space combat is really good. Like there are some bright points, but I totally 100% understand each and every one of y'all's complaints about the stealth shit. 100%. Because it annoyed me too. I mean, like I said, that final mission I had to walk away from for a couple of days because I'm like, this motherfucker right here. Like but yeah, so like I said, I finished it before they either took it out altogether or toned a lot of it down. And I'm really curious how a lot of that stuff works now, because like Ryan said, it's very dependent on stealth stuff throughout the whole game. So I'm wondering what they did there. But yeah, I loved the story. The characters and all that. But again, I am I've said it before on the show, I'm a big Star Wars nerd, and I know Ken and I get into a debate over who is the biggest. That's how you know we're both big fucking nerds.
Goddamn right.
Yeah, I love Star Wars, and I loved what they built. So I do hope they go back and do something else with her.
They
story.
will not.
Number 4 is Dragon's Dogma 2.
Hey, I'm
Haven't
glad
finished
somebody else
this
had it
yet.
on the list.
Hell yeah. I didn't get it at launch. I got it, later in the year, so I haven't finished it yet. And it is also one of those games that I've had to take a break from just because there's other stuff that I have going on. But I did reinstall it and play it a little bit before getting this list together. And that game is great. You're absolutely right. There's it's so much stuff. Yeah, you have to do this is the objective, but there's so much stuff in between, where you start and to get to that objective that you come across that's interesting, and how you get different places. Like I spent, oh God, I don't know how long, because I think you and I talked about it, how to sneak into or get into the higher level area. And I stumbled upon a way through some tunnels, and then wished I hadn't, because there was so many high level things over there. Oh my God, it was a struggle, but we made it through.
Yeah.
But
the other thing that I don't think, and I should have mentioned this when I was talking about it, the other thing that I think that game didn't get enough credit for is it also has a like an NPC companion style system, where you build relationships with the NPCs and increase how much they like you and stuff. And some of a lot actually of the companion quests, call it that, in that game, basically just are, hey, I'm going to this place, will you walk with me? And you get some pretty cool ambient storytelling out of that you really just don't see in games with companion systems usually. I can't remember another game with a companion system where the quests boiled down to walk here with me.
That's actually dope. I don't think I've taken any on that have been kind of like that. I'm going to have to start talking to those.
There are several there are several companions. A companion, I say loosely, it's really just an NPC. It's not like they necessarily can travel with you all the time, but there are several NPCs in the game that you can build relationships with, and you'll notice it's kind of goofy, but you'll notice that they like you, quote unquote, because when you talk to them, they blush, their cheeks are red, and that's how you tell if they like you or not.
Okay.
Not like you necessarily romantically, just like you
Right.
as a person.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a neat little sort of almost hidden functionality in the game.
That is. I think I read that didn't the first one have something like that too?
It did, yeah.
Okay, because I think I read like a lot of people were marrying or trying to get close to whoever like he owned an inn or something, some dude that was rich or whatever, and I guess you got something out of that relationship. I don't know. I remember something I reading about that. But yeah, Dragon's Dogma is one that I do want to go back to and finish up. I did a whole lot of because there's like hidden classes. Well, I guess they're not really hidden, but there's different classes and stuff that you can find in this. If you do different things and take different quests and talk to certain people and stuff. And I went out of the way to get the Magic Archer. Man, you can one shot a dragon at the expense of almost killing yourself, because you do this attack that's called Heart Seeker that drains your health, and you hold it and you can drain your health bar all the way down to the end and let it loose, and like a bajillion arrows fly out and like all fly through whatever it is that's there, and like you can kill it real quick. But like if something gets off, then you die, and then in that game you can't just respawn up the street. Like you might be half the continent away, which is what was scary for me when I ended up in the area with the overleveled stuff, because I'm like, oh my god, I'm never going to get back here. Please let me find a town somewhere so I can save. Oh man, it was stressful, but yeah, like I said, we made it. But yeah, that I don't know. I like that kind of stress, I guess, in a game. If stress is even the word, pressure, I don't know. Like that's it was still fun, but yeah. Okay, let me do these last three. So I debated about the order here for the longest time, except for number two. Number two was pretty locked, but 1 and 3 I kept going back and forth on. So I think I'm cool where I landed. So number 3 for me is Space Marine 2. I'm a big Warhammer fan. The video games mostly, I'm recently into the actual tabletop stuff. But this finally getting a sequel, when Space Marine is arguably the best Warhammer game that was out. Space Marine 2 takes what was good about the first one and removes a lot of the bad stuff, like not being invincible during executions, and amps up the rest. And it oh my god, it's so good. I
can't wait to start that. I've got it. I haven't actually started it yet, which is why it's not on my list. But I'm excited to start playing it after I finish up Veilguard.
Yeah, you know what? Let me know too where you run operations and stuff. I'll definitely go on there, get on there with you, like because you have the campaign, which you could play we can do the campaign too. It has co-op for the campaign, and then it has the operations mode, which is over the course of the campaign, you will be doing, Titus will be doing one thing, who's the main character in the story. And the operations show the perspective of another team of Space Marines that's doing something else.
What's his name?
Well, who?
What
was his name?
Captain Titus.
Captain Titus.
Go ahead.
Wrong Titus.
Imagine.
His name is pronounced Titus. Okay.
Titus. But yeah, operations show, a different side of a mission that Titus and his team are doing. And then it's the whole game is kind of set up to be, oh man, is it a games as a service? No, I don't think it is.
It's an always online game. It is.
Oh, is that just what that automatically means now? So if it's,
I don't know if you'd call it a games as a service, because it doesn't have the operations mode does, but like this is one of those games that it expects you to play co-op. It expects you to play with other people.
And you can play it solo, because I know, Ryan, you said you don't like to play a lot of multiplayer stuff. So you can play the operations and stuff competently with the bots, but you will miss a lot of the interactions between the different classes. So it's better to play with people, because there are like 6 or 7 different classes and they all do different things. So, I mean, you may have one that will buff everyone's armor, which is important, and another that, can draw aggro and stuff like that. So, but yeah, you can enjoy it. I think you can enjoy everything by yourself. But yeah, then they do have the PvP mode and multiplayer too, which is, it is what it is. I had fun with that too, but I don't know. This was everything I could have asked for from a sequel. The only thing I feel like it's missing, I think some of the community have talked about this too, is like the Chaos Marines are in it too as an opposing faction when you're playing like the multiplayer and stuff too. And they have a shit ton of customization when it comes to the Space Marines, as far as factions and colors and different armor parts that you can put on your characters, which it doesn't do anything in the game wise. It's strictly for cosmetically, but there is none of that for the Chaos Marines. It's very they have like some color swaps, but there is no level of customization. So a lot of the fandom is kind of disappointed by that. So hopefully they add it, because they are continuously working with the game. But yeah, Space Marine 2, if you're a Warhammer fan, definitely check that out. Number 2 for me is Helldivers 2. I think all of us that have played it have already kind of waxed poetic about it. It definitely is a good game that is a lot of fun with friends, even when those friends kill you repeatedly and give you half-heartedly, "Hey guys, watch out," kind of thing. So it was still that was a really good time. And I like that the developers have really kind of dug in and given I guess the community what they have clamored for. That will ultimately help the game grow. What I would really hope for is to see it come to Xbox, which I know we've talked about on the show before. Which I think that would only help its growth and would just be natural for it. I mean, like, we need some reinforcements, especially with them putting in the new faction and everything.
Putting it on Game Pass or putting it on Xbox and it making its way into Game Pass would be huge.
Yeah, definitely.
It would be huge. So it would give that game a whole new lease on life for sure.
Yeah, it's I don't know, it's so good, like the satire and the voice work, hearing them scream when they get, and it's like even when you die, in this game and stuff, like you still have a good time. Like you said, you can have play with perfect strangers without even actually getting on a mic and talking to them. And let me tell you, as someone who plays multiplayer games, that is extraordinarily rare.
Well, they even made it fun. They even made it fun when you die because you control your drop pod on the way back down. And so there are times when you die and it's like, oh yeah, well then I'm going to land on top of this fucking charger and I'm going to kill it on my way down as revenge.
Did I hear Perfect Strangers?
Balky?
Standing tall on the wings of our dreams. Okay.
I do want to say, since you were talking about Terrence when Ken killed us all, that day when we all got codes and we played it online for the first time was one of my favorite gaming experiences of the entire year, because it was all of us kind of figuring out what the game was at the same time. And I just, it was so much fun. And at the same time, there were so many moments where it was like, oh shit, we can do this. Oh, I didn't know that could happen. Oh, okay. It was the discovery of it all, was a lot of fun. Even if that discovery was Ken discovering that he could nuke us all, and kill us all at once.
Oh man, that was so. And you know what? I think I have to look, because I think we streamed that. I feel like there's a video, because that was.
Did. Yeah.
Oh man, it was so funny. He said, "Hey guys, watch out!" Everybody blows up. Well, I told y'all to move. What? I didn't hear you say that at all.
I gave you a warning.
Oh, so good. Okay, which leaves my number 1. Which again, like I said, I debated back and forth, but Marvel Rivals, I'm going to give my number 1, and that's strictly because I have spent so much time. And
Money.
me personally, I don't know. I really enjoy that game. Like even when I'm losing, I still enjoy that game. I've kind of, and it's funny, Ken, because I think I saw you say something about this. Like you're like, yeah, I play 2 times and I get off. That's pretty much or something to that effect. That's kind of how I've been moving, because I was in the initial part like playing competitive like hard, and I would get super pissed off like, man, fuck this team, and why is this nigga doing this, and what the fuck is it like? But
boy, the honeymoon ended fast.
What do you say now?
I said the honeymoon ended fast.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was always going to. I mean, it's a competitive game, so that was going to happen. But my point is that I realized that a game is supposed to be fun, so I'm not going to play to that point. So when I'm playing competitive after I've lost twice, I'm done. Like I don't play competitive anymore that day. Even if that's 2 losses in a row, well, then we're done. Like, cause I can play quick play and still have a good time where I don't even care, cause I just get on there and try to get good with characters. Like it's whatever. So I guess just finding like a more healthy balance, for myself with the game. Cause I found I was just getting too pissed off and getting, I was playing with my kids and they would do something. I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to go up there and throw this controller at you. And I don't want to do that. You don't want to hit your kids with controllers. That's no good. So, two games, when
man.
I lose.
You gotta use something that's less expensive to hit them.
That's true. Joints is $60 a piece. But yeah, so that Marvel Ride was my number 1. Looking forward to.
Yeah, that's when you hit them with the controller and then charge them the $60 and say you broke my goddamn controller.
Boy, your head should have been so hard. That was your fault. Now go buy me another one. But yeah, that's my number 1. That's it.
All right. Well, I'll probably be pretty quick because most of the stuff's already been talked about. But again, I have disappointments.
Overwatch, and Overwatch.
I wasn't even going to make that joke this year. This is the first year I wasn't going to make that joke, and you done ruined it.
Oh no, that was just your disappointments list.
Oh no, that's a eternal disappointment.
That was good.
All right, disappointment. Star Wars Outlaws. Yep, I'm there with you, Ryan. That game, I gave it 5 chances. It's not.
That's 5 more chances than I gave it. Yeah. Or actually, that's 4 more chances than I gave it, I guess.
Like, I love the story of that game, but God, playing it is just not fun. Just not fun.
Yeah, I agree completely. I thought that the main character was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't do that gameplay.
Nope. Again, some of these games are not bad games; they're just games that disappointed me. A big disappointment for me was the Plucky Squire. Like I really thought that was going to be like up in my top 10, but it just really is kind of rote. It's kind of boring. I don't know. I didn't enjoy it. Suicide Squad's on my disappointments. I played through the campaign like Terrence. I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed playing it. But that game has so many problems. Oof. So many problems. And then my last disappointment, I'm just baffled how you fucked this up. But the Battlefront collection, like, that's a slam dunk. That's an easy win.
I debated about putting that on there. Yeah, I debated about putting that on there because you're right. Like, how do you fuck that up?
It's so easy. It's just...
Jeez.
And you somehow broke it, and I don't know how you broke it. My last disappointment is also in my honorable mentions because, like everybody else, I don't know what the fuck video games are anymore. Dragon Age, the Veilguard, like... I enjoyed part of it, and then some of it I'm like, what the hell is this game? Like, what are we doing? I don't know, maybe someday I'll go back and play through as a warrior, because it sounds like ranged characters in that game are just terrible.
Yeah, he sent that video of doing like the Captain America shield throw thing, and I was like, oh damn, that's hot. I don't want to have to start over.
That was my thing.
Do all that again.
Yeah, that was my thing. I started over, and I was like, man, I don't want to do all this shit again.
Yeah, like this would be the 3rd restart for me, and I just so I'm a struggle on with my rogue.
All right, honorable mentions. There's a couple on here. I got to give a shout to my boys at Night Dive. They killed it this year. I felt like they were channeling me, my personal my personal inner once with The Thing, PO'd, Killing Time, Dark Forces, and System Shock. Like, come on. Like, those guys killed it this year. And I played all of them and loved all of them. Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. The only reason it's an honorable mention is because I didn't play enough of it. Like, I got sidetracked and didn't play more than like 4 or 5 hours, but I really enjoyed that game. A game nobody's mentioned because I don't think anybody played it. But I really had fun with Alone in the Dark. Like, I liked that game.
I'm waiting on a sale because you said it was good actually.
Yeah.
Because I'm waiting on a sale on it though.
I liked that game quite a bit. Kind of gave me a little bit of Eternal Darkness mixed with like a modern kind of action adventure game. It's really good. Black Ops 6 is also on my honorable mentions because that campaign was awesome. All right, now my top 10 list.
Oh yeah, you know what's funny is that game should have been on my list. It should have been on my list for sure because
Yeah.
it was very good.
That campaign
It would have
was
been an honorable
fire.
mention for me too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
campaign
really good.
fire.
All right, my top 10, and I'm not like Wombat, I don't give a fuck. I'm putting some old ass collections on here. I feel like my list this year is like old games that have been made new again. Legacy of Kain collection is number 10.
Can I just say your last year your number one was Atari 50.
Goddamn right. I'm an old gamer, Anthony.
And look, I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying you don't have to justify it. We know.
Yeah, no, just the fact that we've got a Legacy of Kain release in the year of 2024 made me feel good. And those games hold up. They're a little wonky at times, but man, you can't beat those stories. Great games. Number 9 is also another compilation, Tomb Raider 1, 2, 3. Those games are fantastic, and what's funny is the same company that did those also did the Battlefront collection, so it's like they're kind of like throwing spaghetti at a wall too. And like Terrence, I'm playing another game I'll talk to you about in a couple weeks that they done fucked that up too. So we'll talk about that later.
The Tomb Raider trilogy would have made my honorable mentions had I known really what to compare it to.
Sure, yeah, you never played those games, so
yeah.
But yeah, I love those first 3 games. Number 8 is Silent Hill 2. Bloober did it, and I don't know how they did it, but they did it, and that game is amazing. Like, they really did a good job on that game.
At least Diddy didn't do it.
Well, you know.
Nah, Diddy did it, but he didn't do this.
No, he didn't do this. But somehow Bloober pulled it off, and that's amazing, because their last few games have been not good. Number 7 is Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Man, I'll never finish that game, but I love it. If I had one critique, you know what it is. We cannot use the English voices. We cannot. That is not Kiryu. I'm sorry. That man, which sucks because I really like, what's his name? The other character? Fuck. Ichiban. I love his English voice actor. So like if you could let me do Kiryu's Japanese voice and Ichiban's English voice, I'd be okay with that. But you can't do that. Number 6 is Tekken 8. Man.
Oh man, I didn't even play that. I forgot it came out this year as well.
Yeah, that game is so good. So good.
Can I just roll back for a second too? What really irritates me is they recasted Kiryu for that game. Like, they recasted him to be worse. Like, they brought back the original voice actor from the original PS2 Yakuza to play him in Like a Dragon for the brief period he shows up. And they recasted him to a younger actor to play an older version.
And also a very stale voice actor. Like, his delivery is terrible. And it's like, I get that Kiryu is very, like, he doesn't have a lot of emotion in what he says. Like, he's very stout. But, like, he delivers it well. The Japanese voice actor does. This guy is bad. And I was very disappointed.
I follow one of the I follow the guy who played Kuze in Yakuza 0 on Instagram because he's just an interesting guy. And every time I see a post, I do my best Kiryu impression. Who's there?
Yeah, I don't understand what happened with that. Like, stop casting TikTokers as fucking characters in a game just because they're popular. Like, anyway, number 5, Prince of Persia: Lost Crown. There are years that this
Hell
would
yeah.
have been my game of the year. Like, that game is that good. Number 4 is Indiana Jones. Yes, I finished that game. I love that game. That story is amazing. Like, each level just kept getting better and better. And then I discovered what the story was about, and I was like, oh shit, that's super cool. The villain is perfect. Like, the side character is great. Like, that game is just so good.
I do like the side character. I can't think of her name. Yeah, that game is good.
All right. It is time for the top 3. I struggled a lot with this. Number 3 is Stellar Blade. That game is probably one of the better action games I've played in a long time. The music is outstanding. The combat is fantastic. The story is okay. It gets a little weird and goes some places that are like a little too anime for me at some point. But everything else about that game is like one of the few games that I've actually started a new game plus. Like, that's how much I love that game. I spent 45 hours in that game, 100%ed it on a first playthrough, and have been working through like the DLC, which is kind of disappointing. But yeah, that game is stellar. And as soon as I say number 2, you'll know number 1. So,
Wait.
what?
You said that game is stellar, and I went Blade.
You know. Number 2 is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I struggled. It was going to be number 1.
Well, I know number 1, everybody.
It's not a secret, Anthony. But like Jay said earlier, he perfectly captured what I was thinking. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is what we wanted the first one to be, and is just like they threw everything into it and made it like super high quality. Like, that game is just, I don't know how the third one can be better, but if it is, holy shit.
I have it ready to I have it purchased on PC when it comes to Steam this month.
Dude, if they announce this coming to Xbox this year or next year, I will replay it again. Like, that's how much I love that game. And this time I'll take my time, because when I had it this time, I think I was reviewing it, so I kind of had to rush through my 40 plus hours that I played it. So my next playthrough will be very slow and meticulous, because that game is it's just a joy to be in that game. And speaking of joy, Astrobot is my game of the year. And again, Jay said it perfectly. It's almost impossible to find something wrong with that game. The platforming is sublime. The music is so bubbly and catchy. I love it. The visuals are outstanding. Like, some of the little things you don't appreciate, like when he breaks out the sprinkles and they just all move in their own little direction with physics and stuff. Yeah. Like, some of the stages are straight out of like Super Mario games, which nobody's been able to claim ever. Like, that team just knows how to make an outstanding platformer, and if Sony doesn't let them do another one, they're crazy, especially since it won the Keeleys, you know?
Yeah, I think we're definitely getting another one.
Yeah, and that team has done more to appreciate PlayStation's legacy than PlayStation has done in the past 20 fucking years.
Agreed.
So, like,
what? What was? So I'm sorry. Was the new PlayStation 5 Pro not enough for you? With the great faceplates? Oh, fuck.
You mean the one that they sold tickets to that you could only buy if you had like a PlayStation account?
Hey, hold on. It's not our fault.
Yeah.
Fuck
No. Sony doesn't seem to care about their legacy. Like, they even said they were going to take away like the little boot up screens that they put in for the 25th anniversary or whatever. I'm like,
They did? They did take those away?
they said they were going to. They haven't yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I just booted my PlayStation up, and I'm pretty sure it had it. So,
Which boot do you have? Which boot are you using?
just the one that it defaulted to when I updated.
Oh,
It comes up with the little 30th anniversary logo and the PlayStation 1 sound.
oh, you can change that to any of the 4.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
using the PS2 one.
I'm using
Yeah,
PS1.
I haven't I haven't changed any of them. I'll have to look at that.
PS1 is like my. They say like when you're in your like early teens to like late teens, that's like when your nostalgia brain like.
Yeah, peak of your nostalgia.
Yeah, I was. Oh, what was I? I was 15 going on 16 when the PS1 came out. So like perfect timing right there for that to be my nostalgia brain. And everybody doing math at home. Yes, I'm almost 50. So fuck out of here. Yeah, Astrobot, my game of the year, 100%. That game is. I 100%ed it. I think I spent 25. It only took me 25 hours to do everything, and I wish I had more stuff to do.
Yeah. One of the rare few games I also platinum as well. I think I have like 20 platinum games of all of my life cycle in terms
You
of PS games. I don't do that often.
I have 2. You want to
Yeah.
guess what the other one is?
Ooh. Shoot. Is it a Resident Evil game?
No, I play those
No.
on Xbox now.
You play this on Xbox. Stellar Blade.
No, I don't have the platinum in Stellar Blade because
Oh,
for
you
some
don't have?
reason
Oh, I thought you were getting it for New Game Plus. All right, okay, sure.
it didn't give me. So I went back and redid the final boss fight, and it didn't give me the trophy for beating the second ending. So I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
I have
what's the other one?
3. Oh, no, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't realize you hadn't said the other one yet.
The other one was Astro's Playroom.
Oh.
Appropriate.
I have 3, and I'm guessing that people will be able to guess 2 of them and not the other one.
I don't know. I don't.
On PlayStation, right?
Yep.
Dragon Quest 11?
Nope.
No. Is any of them a Dragon Quest game?
Nope.
I guess you played them mostly on Nintendo.
Both of them were review games. Maybe that
Review games. Okay.
is a hint. 2 of them are, I should say.
I
So
mean,
one of
surely
them-
you don't have a 2K game as a platinum.
No.
There's no way. Yeah.
No. So
way.
one of them is Spider-Man 2,
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
and the
Great.
other one is Ghost of Tsushima.
Okay, what's the
Yeah,
third
And
one?
Those are some
The
excellent games.
third one is Job Simulator on PlayStation VR.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, I have 2 platinums. People are like, "You're not a gamer." I was like, "Bitch, I have more." What's funny is people who tell me that, like, I have more games on PlayStation than PlayStation only gamers, and I don't even game there. Like, I think there's like 700 or 800 games in my PlayStation library. Like, I don't even play games there. What's even crazier is like my top 10 list is like what 50% only PlayStation 5 games. Man, Xbox really didn't do shit this year, did they?
No.
Not much.
I mean, you guys got your, was it the yearly review for Game Pass back, right? I think I completed 2 games in Game Pass this entire year, which is a very, very low number for me.
Well, I mean, I play all my third-party games there, and to be fair, the only PlayStation-only game that was on my list that is actually PlayStation was Astrobot. Like, the rest of them were just paid-for exclusives, so...
Yeah, the Nine Souls and Indiana Jones, obviously, I played on Game Pass this year. So
Yeah,
I
Indiana
got my
Jones.
work out of Game Pass.
Yeah, Indiana Jones being on my list, absolutely. Like, they nailed it with that one. But boy, not one person mentioned Hellblade. Shocker there.
I
didn't
considered
play it.
putting it in my honorary, but it didn't make it. I already put too much stuff in there.
I beat it. I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
Like, but it wasn't, like, even on my list of, like, well, it's an honorable... No, not really. I thought the first one was better. So...
I agree.
But anyway, that's our Game of the Year show. Like I said, any emails or stuff that you sent to us, we'll tackle those next week. We knew this was going to be a long show. This was a long show. It was nice to have Drew on, even if it was for like 20 minutes. So he did come out of hibernation for the show, but we'll be back to normal next week. I know Terrence and I have been tearing through a bunch of games that we'll be able to talk about soon. Some of them are probably good, some of them are really not. So tune in for that, because it's about to get, like, it's crazy to me that, you know, we got the Switch 2 announcement this week, we got that developer direct this week from Xbox. So there's going to be a brand new game announcement this week, and then like February, it immediately just starts again. We've got like Avowed and Like a Dragon, and fuck, there's so many games.
Monster Hunter.
Monster Hunter's coming out.
Oh yeah, that's right. Jesus.
Yeah, y'all, it's the 20th of January, so it's about to get big again.
We almost had Assassin's Creed in February as well, but
yeah,
that got delayed.
Yep.
You start playing like a Vegas betting game on when that's going to get delayed again. Oh, anyway. I think we're also going to get a release date for South of Midnight this week, which will be awesome because I'm really looking forward to that one.
Same.
Like, Xbox has got some good shit this year that I'm excited for. You know, Avowed I'm looking forward to, South of Midnight, Doom the Dark Ages. Like, they've got a good lineup this year if they don't fuck it up. So, but anyway, that's it for our game of the year. Hope y'all enjoyed this. Be sure to send us yours in email or tweet form if you want. We'll read those over the next couple weeks. But
or you can put them in our Discord that we never go into or check.
Oh yeah, that's a thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna check now. The last post was on September 11th, or no, sorry, July 11th, 2024.
2024. That's better than I expected.
I mean,
well, I think it was me responding to somebody who had an issue.
Yeah, like you ain't got to scroll up much to get into 2023. So,
fair enough.
just saying.
Yeah, it's not like we use it that much anyway. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, that's it for our game of the year. Like I said, hope y'all enjoyed it. And be sure to check out, like, hopefully somebody mentioned a game on here you'd never heard of, and now you're like, I'm going to go check this out, because it's a cool video game.
Yep, hopefully.
Unless it's Star Wars Outlaws, don't play that.
Don't play that.
No, I'm just kidding. I know it's on Terrence's list. He loves it. But anyway, that's it for us. We're going to get out of here. Peace, bitches.
Alrighty. And it goes something like this.